Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Welcome, race fans, to PitStop TV. Trey Shuttlesworth joined me on the mic this evening. Corey Rexford is on social media coverage, and I'm Noah Carmichael. This is PitStop TV's live coverage of the Bluegrass iRacing series. As usual, we want to thank you for tuning in on across multiple platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. We join you tonight from the virtual Las Vegas, Nevada for round 2 of the season. Tonight, the stars of the Bluegrass iRacing series arrive into Sin City as they prepare to roll the dice for 200 miles as they look to establish their place in the championship early in the season. Your reigning champion Travis Miller comes in tonight as the odds-on favorite. After an incredible back-to-back win at the season opener at Daytona, John Kinder comes in second in points, and if he rides in on the same momentum he left with last season, he could be a real threat for the win. So Trey, as we prepare for an exciting night of action in Las Vegas, what kind of strategy do you see being the key to winning here tonight?
Well, first of all, no, I just want to say, it's an absolute pleasure to be with you in the booth. I always enjoy it, and glad to be in the booth. I believe this is my first time with the Bluegrass iRacing series. But no, to talk a little bit about our strategy for tonight, we are at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, very high speed, very high banked after the reconfiguration in the mid-2000s. And with the current rules package that's in place for the NASCAR Cup Series in real life, pretty tall spoiler, 550 horsepower. These cars are going to be fairly restricted, and they're probably going to be full throttle early in the run quite a bit. And I think that's just going to make track position incredibly key in the long run over the course of an entire event here. So we have 134 laps tonight, and it's going to be a fun one. And as you can see, we do have our point standings pulled up. And it's not the exact thing as we saw last week, where rather the standings don't reflect what happened after week 1 in terms of finishing results, because we did have stage points introduced for the first time in the Bluegrass iRacing series last week.
And thanks to that, it did shake it up a little bit, but as usual, what we were used to seeing last season, we're seeing the same of this year. Travis Miller, as usual, we see top of the standings like he was in the inaugural season. John Kinder, as he finished late in the season, he's only 2 points back on Travis Miller, second in points. Alan Dobbs, third. Wes Wiggin with an incredible fourth, and then Brandon Robertson looking to have a comeback season after the disappointing loss to the championship fight. After the midpoint, he finds himself in 5th. Missing, though, is Justin Winters, who's involved in a couple wrecks. He's actually outside of top 10, as now he comes in here tonight for looking to try and rebound to get himself back into this championship fight. I wasn't able to be here, but Trey, if you have any idea for the race, please by all means tell me, because I was unable to make that race. I watched a little bit of it, but if it was anything like we usually see, it was absolutely sure to be a thriller.
Unfortunately, I didn't get the full picture of the race last week. I was manning our social media platforms, but it was very simply, it was a chaotic event, I have to say. Few more yellows than we saw in the inaugural running of the race at Daytona that opened the Bluegrass iRacing series last season. But the middle stages did go for a pretty clean period without a yellow. We saw a really exciting finish at the end of the stage. Don't recall the stage winner off the top of my head, but it was a margin of, I believe, 1/1000th of a second for the stage. But then the following car coming to the checker flag it was John Kinder who finished second. He had a lot of damage, and it made the finish of last week's race honestly a bit anticlimactic just because he couldn't get a run going to try to overtake Travis Miller coming to the line. But we've already established some of what I think will be some of the key players in the championship. This is going to be our first real litmus test of who has pace. It's still a track that's going to be relatively full throttle, but not to the same degree of Daytona. But I do think we'll start to see some of the series' best returning talent and new talent rise to the top of the leaderboard tonight.
And when you talk about this is the first true test, as now we have left the chaotic scenes of Daytona where it's a who's guess of who can win it. If Andrew can pull it up, if he has it, the schedule for the rest of the season looking forward, and apparently we don't have that as right now, but still, this is, like you said, this is the first true test, kind of like how Atlanta has always been for the Cup Series for a very long time. Once you get these mile and a halves where you truly start to see who is going to be those guys who come out there and run for this championship. It's going to be very exciting. Already, though, we're seeing the early stages as we have less than 5 minutes here in practice. Who might be some of the heavy hitters tonight? Travis Miller, the fastest in practice. Adam Lancaster, John Kender, the two teammates at 28 and 21. Unsurprisingly, second and third. Alan Dobbs, a new name I haven't really seen before. He finds himself in fourth. And then the usual of the names that we see from last season: Brandon Robertson, Nicholas Noggle, Wyatt Brackett, and Brian Terry in the top 10. So again, a lot of familiar names, but a lot of new faces as well, starting to make their names known here this season.
So far, and I think it's going to be a really good storyline throughout the season, with it being the second season, to really see that core staple that we saw in the first season come up against some of these guys that are pretty new to this Cup Series here on the iRacing.com service. But for the most part, so far at least, it seems like the guys that have been around the series for a little bit are currently the ones still dominating at the top of the leaderboards. Of course, our sample size is a bit small at this point in time. Next week, we'll get an even better test. We'll be heading to Richmond Raceway, followed by Martinsville Speedway. So that's going to be a true test, and I'm sure it's going to be chaotic the next 2 weeks if we continue to get these pretty solid car counts. So last week, we did have 43 cars hit the high banks in Daytona International Speedway, and currently we have 34 cars logged on the entry list here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Should expect all 34 to take the green flag, barring any issues.
Yeah, much bigger car count than I remember from season 1, which is always great to see. We love seeing these big car counts, especially after last season. Then going into this season, they really started to try and get the names in there, and they're starting to finally get them. We're going to see a lot of heavy hitters start to make their names appear along with the veterans of this series. So it'll be very, very entertaining to watch this. You talked about the next few races coming up, both Richmond and Martinsville. If you remember from Martinsville last season, that was probably one of the more chaotic races to be a part of. They ran green flag most of the first half of the race, but once the end of the race came along, it became kind of a who's who on who's going to cause the next caution. So you talk about very chaotic races coming in the next few seasons. It can be very pivotal in this championship fight as we get ready to head towards the halfway point of the season. So again, a lot on the line here at Las Vegas, where if these next 2 weeks come up, could really help decide where you place yourself in the championship.
Yeah, you bring up a lot of good points. The other thing that we need to consider here is the fact that here at the Bluegrass iRacing Series, Race Control has introduced stages to the races here. Not in the same sense that you see in the NASCAR Cup Series where you have 3 stages. Instead, you'll see a stage break tonight at the halfway point of the race. Top 10 will get awarded points as you see in real life. 10 points will go to the person who wins the stage, all the way down to 10th place getting 1 point. So the series is going to give a chance to drivers who are consistent to reward themselves with a few more points. And it should really shake things up in terms of strategizing, in terms of trying to get yourself into the playoffs. Another new element that has been introduced to the series this year. A lot of fun stuff that has been introduced. It should be a fun ride over the next 14, 15 weeks.
Indeed, it has been. And as we come about a minute left in qualifying, well, as we still have the time before we actually get to see the cars on track for their qualifying laps, let's give a quick shout out to some of the sponsors before this race starts. Kicking it off, we're going to give a shout out to Tucson Sound Art, a big long-time support of ours now. Your picture, your music, you provide the image you want, and we will custom create a beautiful framed, high-quality canvas with a built-in Bluetooth speaker with Sound Art. You get the best of both worlds. Visit TucsonSoundArt.com for additional info. Next up on the list, we want to thank Permanent Makeup and Cryo Maine. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. At Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, the owner Ashley Bollier is a certified micropigmentation specialist who provides professional, safe, and personalized services. You can contact Permanent Makeup and Cryo Maine at permanentmakeupinmaine.com or call or text them at 207-358-8683. If you're looking for the best solutions for your permanent makeup concerns, give Permanent Makeup and Cryo Maine a call today to book a consultation. And also make sure to visit the Facebook page, Permanent Makeup and Cryo Maine, where you can enter one of their monthly giveaways. Enter today, and who knows, you might just win. And as we lead into that, we now have qualifying underway, so we'll start to see some of the first cars on track as we get ready to watch these cars make their hot laps to decide where the field starts here tonight.
So it looks like Race Control has given these guys a total of 15 minutes. Not sure if we're going to be utilizing all 15 minutes, but if that's the case, I think we might have a little bit of time to fill, because if I'm a driver here seeing this setting sun here at the racetrack, I'm thinking the track's going to continue to cool down, and I'm going to want to go at the last second. So it should be interesting to see, whether or not we actually have anyone come out here in the first couple minutes.
We also want to thank Whiplash Media. Forgot to mention those guys, our guys. PitStop TV's new parent organization, Whiplash Media, specializes in various sim racing resources, including paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing camera packs, and more. Whiplash Media is also working on its presence in real racing, offering services such as photography, social media management, and public relations. Go to Whiplash-Media for more information. And as now we get set for the first qualifying lap, first up on the board is Casey Barlow and at number 51, a very interesting paint scheme, I might add, if we can get. And we also want to thank our series sponsors as well, including Rims One, Beer Lab, and then Mills Insurance Agency. 4 great Ghostface Brewing companies. 3 big sponsors that have been 2 of them which have been longtime supporters. The third one, the Mills Insurance, a new one I'm very excited to see. So again, very great to see these new faces join the series and stepping up to help give these guys all the money and support that they need to get us what we need in order to have these incredible broadcasts to bring you flag-to-flag coverage for these. Currently on pole now, John Kinder has now knocked off Casey Barlow. So again, the 21. Now Justin Winters jumping up onto the pole as, again, just what we talk about, as we get later and later into the qualifying session, we're now starting to see some of the heavy hitters as the sun goes down and the temperature start to cool off.
Yeah, so far it appears that I want to say about a third of the field's got out and set its time so far, but if they still had the full 15 minutes to utilize them, surprised to see as many go out as we have so far. Track temperature currently is sitting at about 74 degrees Fahrenheit at the moment, and I do expect it to go down potentially a couple degrees as we progress here over the next 12 or 13 minutes. But it's a lot of the heavy hitters in the series near the top of the leaderboard so far. Adam Lancaster, Justin Winters near the top of the leaderboard, but a lot of new guys also spread throughout the top 10.
Yeah, like we always talking about, a lot of the new faces starting to make their way up there, like Alan Dobbs and Michael Ashett in the 81. Accept my apologies. Again, new faces, so I got to learn a lot of new names. I remember Chris the Bourgeois was a big one that I had to remember. Again, Casey Barlow starting to fall down to 8th. Ronnie Shirk Jr., who really started to show himself later in the season, has himself up to 9th. But again, as you talk about, the temperatures are going to start to cool down. We're going to start to see those lap times start to go down as well. Adam Lancaster currently on pole, knocking out Justin Winters. John Kinder has dropped all the way back to 5th, as we still have about 10 drivers left to make a run, one of those being Travis Miller. So it's going to be a big what if on where he goes, on what time he decides to see actually is about to complete lap number 1 as he comes up turn number 4. We're going to see where he will line up. Strong run out of the final corner to the line. Will it be enough for the pole? It is not. It is 18th. That is not the starting position. Maybe just trying to get a insurance lap in and maybe expect a higher speed of him, but not a good start to qualifying for the points leader.
Currently, unofficially, we're going to hand that quick time to Doug Neal, who is new to the series. Just to discuss the weather a little bit more, I feel like it's something that we definitely want to keep an eye out for tonight, just because we are going to see the track go from a complete sun. The sun is going to be completely out here during the qualifying session, and over the course of the race, we're going to go from about sunset to pitch black darkness right now. So we do have that relatively cool track tempo of 74 degrees already. Should be interesting to see how much that track temperature dips, and the more it dips, the more grip these guys will be given, and might potentially create more side-by-side racing as these guys do get more of an increase in traction. The other thing that's really interesting is the fact is the wind is really ripping rather in from the north. So I believe the north from Las Vegas Motor Speedway would be grandstand side of the racetrack. So that could definitely be potentially affecting the handling of these vehicles off of corner exit of turn 2 and corner exit of turn 2, yes, and corner exit of turn 4 potentially I would see as the areas with the most impact. A little hard to tell though.
About 10 minutes left here in qualifying. What you're looking at right now is that number 60 of Ryan Kendall. He has crossed the line with a lap of 30.363. That is enough for P24 at the moment, currently beating out Ed Osborne, Mitch Smith, Joshua Abbey. Actually, no, Joshua Abbey is the first one not to have set a time. So right now he's beating out Ed Osborne and Mitch Smith right now, as more and more cars starting to set laps right now. As we're again talk about, as we now approach the halfway point of the qualifying session, we're going to see more and more of these cars coming out. As Matt Gennari is actually one of the few drivers that has opted not to set a qualifying lap, so that'll be very interesting to see how that strategy plays out. As we starting to see the last few drivers put their laps down.
Additionally, it looks like CJ Mason withdraws from the session at the moment. He manually disconnects from the iRacing server. He still has 6 minutes to get back out here onto the racetrack, but that might put us down to, I believe it'd be about 33 cars at the moment.
Okay, right now, currently 28 cars now having set a lap here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, as it's going to be very, very exciting to see how this race plays out. Right now, Doug Neal on pole with a 30.082 and a number 77. And again, Adam Lancaster, Justin Winters, Matt Grenier, and Alan Dobbs round out your top 5. So the 2 new faces right now taking over the top 5, as you see, I believe that is the number 2. Yep, it is of Brandon Robertson. So he's going to be one of those drivers to look out for. Right now, he finds himself in P11, coming off of turn number 4 to the start finish line to complete lap number 2. Will he improve? He does, and it's enough for pole. Brandon Robertson, a familiar face like talked about. He wanted to come back and try and get a rebound after a disappointing loss to the championship. He now finds himself starting on the front row for today's race, as still more and more cars rounding out their laps. Nicholas Nago being one, Nick Mills sitting on pit lane, Joshua Abbey starting his first lap, I should say. Corby Daniels has not gone onto the racetrack. CJ Mason and Matt Gennari obviously already said he is not going to set a lap. So we still have a few more cars to go, but Brandon Robertson throwing out the gauntlet late in the session.
We'll continue to track here with Josh Abbey, who I believe is in new colors tonight with a new partner as well. Golly appears to be the partner. Lovely colors on that car. I think he's coming here to the completion of lap 1. Gonna look to the timings charts here for Joshua Abbey. Doesn't look like he's in the top 10 with that lap at the moment. Gonna have to look down the leaderboard. He slots himself in at P28, which is near the bottom of the leaderboard at the moment. Very excellent point from our producer, Andrew Cardinelli. The floor is doing an excellent job so far tonight. Just the fact that because these cars are relatively full throttle here, especially during the qualifying runs, expect guys to put most of the momentum and most of their effort towards lap 2, which is why we're probably going to see Joshua Abbey shoot up the leaderboard out here on lap 2. He does go up to P21, so we do see evidence that the second lap can be quite a bit quicker. He picks up about a tenth and a half that lap.
Still a lot of the late goers starting to make their way out. We have most of the field has set a lap. We have about 3 people left. Nick Mills being one, still sitting on pit road, as we still wait to see if Nick, Corby, or CJ will opt to go out and set a lap. Right now, it doesn't look like it will be, or if they're just going to try and wait and wait and wait, and then go at the last minute and go and try and set a flyer to try and steal the pole away. Right now, they're kind of playing with fire right now, because if they wait too long, they might run out of time, because even though they have those 15 minutes, it's still about a whole 2 minutes that you have to go out there and set the out lap, the fast and the 2 fast laps, and try and set a time. So still a little bit of time left, but if they're going to go out and set a qualifying time, they need to do it soon.
Definitely, Noah, because you're running out of chances if you do have an error on your first attempt. Just looking at weather conditions, it's been a few minutes since we last checked, and the sun is setting quite rapidly. We haven't really seen too much of a change in track temperature so far. So the guys that went out early aren't too disadvantaged at this point in time. Track temp remains stagnant from the start of the session. Still, we're looking at 74 degrees Fahrenheit. The wind has picked up a lot more, which could drastically affect handling. It's been about 3 miles an hour. It's about a 3 mile an hour increase from the start of the session, although it does dip down a little bit. So a little bit of inconsistency with the wind.
Yeah, the Nevada deserts are going to really cool off here as the sun goes down and the lights come up. And as always, we love to see these under the light shows, especially here at Vegas. They haven't had one in quite a while. Usually only the, I believe it is now the Camping World Truck Series again, once more, the truck series that NASCAR runs. They're usually right now the last one that actually runs under lights at Vegas. The Xfinity Series doesn't really do it, and the Cup Series usually only does it if it gets to that point. But usually they're both day races, which is sad to see, because this track under the lights, just like the Strip, is amazing and stunning to see under the lights with the Nevada skyline in the desert. I mean, just look at that with the mountain peaks and the rolling hillsides in the background. It's just a beautiful racetrack and a beautiful venue, which is why it's one of the fan favorites among a lot of fans, especially with the adaptive garage that they have here. It's just a really, really amazing facility all around, and it's why a lot of people love to come here year in and year out on a Cup schedule.
The other thing that's really cool about this place, you just saw the Nellis straightaway, is the fact that there's an Air Force base right behind the speedway here, right on the edge of the city of Las Vegas. The speedway is quite literally on the edge of the desert if you look on Google Maps, if you're looking to kill a couple minutes of time here before the race starts. But no, Andrew Cardinale was he was out at the bull ring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, our producer tonight, a couple weeks ago for a big Legends event. I believe it was a national event for U.S. Legends cars, and he did get to see a couple of fighter jets doing some trial runs in the sky, I believe, as well. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff around the speedway. It also hosts a very big music festival, the Electric Daisy Carnival, I believe it's called, which is an EDM music festival. So yeah, there's a lot going on here at the racetrack. Last year they hosted a big SRO event. Yeah, and like you said, no, top tier facilities, excellent place.
Correct me if I'm wrong too. I know the NHRA races here, but if I remember correctly, they actually upgraded the facilities, and now they are the second event on the calendar, along with Charlotte Motor Speedway, that actually has a 4-wide nationals. I believe it is called the ZMAX Dragway now. Down, it's actually not too far outside the racetrack in the facility, along with the bull ring. So again, there's a lot of things that this track has. Yeah, just as a producer who, like Trey said, was there a couple weeks ago, so he should know. Up on the northwest side is where you'll find it. I believe a couple years ago they actually renovated the drag strip, and now it is also a 4-wide strip, which is always fantastic to see. It's one of the great things and more unique things about NHRA. Is that even though we do the oval races, if you ever have a chance, just go to a drag racing event, or even go to an NHRA event if you're lucky to have one nearby you. It's such a great event, and Las Vegas is no exception. Just these 4-wide nationals, such a creative idea and always entertaining to watch, especially the spectacle behind it, seeing 4 top fuel pro stocks and anything in between running on that strip is just fantastic to see.
I think there's a little bit more we could talk about with this facility, because there's also a dirt oval that's, I believe, about a third of a mile, not a fourth of a mile, between like a third of a mile and a half a mile. And I think there might also be karting tracks on the facility as well.
And so there There's also I believe what we call kind of like a test track or a fun track that you can race at nearby, as well as the dirt track, which is in between kind of where the bull ring and the racing and Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where the oval is, as well as I believe an indoor road course as well. There's just so many facilities, and it's one of the great things I kind of think of what SMI does, which is the sanctioning, kind of like the owner of this track along just with Las Vegas. It's just incredible. And again, if you want to see some of the screenshots that you'll see out of the night, because just like how you're seeing some of these static shots that are being delivered to you, you can see also some more amazing screenshots being done by Carter Expert on our social media pages. Go check us out on Facebook. Just look up PitStop TV there, or go on Twitter at PitStop TV _. You're going to see some incredible screenshots, some artistic photography. One of the kind of like great things that we started doing a while back, and I was lucky enough to be a part of, and it's just great to see some of the screenshots. And also, what we just started today, apparently, which I'm being told about now, a certified oof moment. The first one starting today, so that's something fun that we're gonna start doing. So it's just a 1 minute video of something that went wrong, and we just like to have some fun with it. Obviously, not making fun of anybody, but still, just a little bit of fun we like to have here to kind of like remember some of these events. But still, now qualifying has officially ended, and now the field is starting to grid up. So let's take a rundown of your starting lineup here for the Las Vegas 200. Brandon Robertson, your pole sitter, was a time of 30.071 alongside him. And number 77 is going to be Doug Neal. Starting back in row number 2, some familiar faces to the Bluegrass iRacing Series. Adam Lancaster in your series runner-up from last year, Justin Winters. Starting back in row number 3, you're going to find the number 15 of Matt Grenier alongside him, the 68 of Ryan Kendall. And then rounding out your top 10 is going to be Michael, trying to get this name right, Ascat. And then rounding out your top 8 is going to be, let me try and get your top 8. Yes, is going to be Ryan Kendall and Michael Ascat. And then starting out your final top 10 is going to be the 21 of John Kender and the 38 of David Brackett.
We look beyond the top 10, and we're only looking at guys that were about a half a tenth off of pole sitter Brandon Robertson, just to give a little bit of an idea of how tight the midfield here was in qualifying. So we're going to look at P11. That's going to be Chris LeBourgeois. He's going to be accompanied by Dylan Butler, who will line up on the outside of row 6. Looking to row 7, UC Series champion Travis Miller will have a little bit of climbing to do, and he's going to be accompanied by Series veteran Wes Wiggin. Casey Barlow will line up in the 15th position. Outside of row 8 will be Nathan Mower. Michael Briston and Ronnie Shirk will make up row 9, and row 10 will consist of Gary Jazorski and Wyatt Brackett, who is also a veteran of the series.
Starting back in P21 is going to be the 05 of Joshua Abbey. Next to him is going to be the 113 of Daniel Worthington. Back in P23, you're going to find Dennis Orff and Alex Brown. In 25th and 26th, you're going to find Bryce Hunter and Ryan Smith. Starting behind them is going to be the number 91 of Ryan Smith. Is going to be the 01 of Dakota Shepard and the 13 of Brian Terry. And then some of your last drivers to round it out: the number 42 of Van Osborne, the number 8 of Mitch Smith, the 08 of Nicholas Nagel, Matt Chineri, the first of the drivers not to set a lap alongside him, Nick Mills, Corby Daniels, and CJ Mason. Now round out your 34 drivers for tonight's race, as now you see a beautiful aerial shot. You wanted the best. You got them side by side, and the pace car about to make that hard left turn down the curved pit road. As the sun has gone down, the lights have come up, and the sparks are gonna fly as they make their way to the start finish line. We thank you for spending your Wednesday night here with us on PitStop TV as we look forward to the amazing thriller as the green flag is out and we are underway at Las Vegas.
We enter turn 1 for the first time tonight, and the leader, Brandon Robertson, is clear by a tenth or two of a second, just giving you an indication of how much of an advantage the leader can have on the restarts here. Of course, it's a small sample size, but I think it's going to be really tough for the outside line to get going off of the initial restarts. Now we're going to enjoy some stationary cameras just to get a sense of the speed and get a little bit of those great, loud American V8s producing 550 horsepower here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, completion lap 1 of 134.
Brandon Robertson holding on to the race lead, but under attack by the 28 Rims 1 machine of Adam Lancaster, also with the Ghostface Brewing Company on the hood. As the 77 of Doug Neal gets loose. He tries to save it. He's going to go nose first to the wall as the 77 Simbox has now hit the wall. We stay green, though, as that wreck happened off the circuit. So tough break for him after having an incredible starting spot as we stay green. Justin Winters now promoted up to the 3rd spot. Here comes Lancaster down on the flat part of the apron to try and make a move going into turn number 1.
Give the purple lap time, quickest lap of the race so far to Justin Winters, and he climbs to the... Oh, sorry, I thought he was the one overtaking for the lead, but he's in fact in the 3rd position right now, but he is definitely climbing up the leaderboard, and he is climbing quite quickly. But no, if you like pack racing, I think you're definitely going to get it tonight. Las Vegas Motor Speedway is going to continue to cool down. Big spoiler, not a lot of horsepower. These guys are going to be very tight throughout the event tonight as we continue to ride on board with that 52 machine at the moment. Currently sitting in P4, a lot of competition.
Alan Dobbs now quickly making moves. He now moves his way up to 2nd as Brandon Robertson started on pole, falls back to 3rd, now having to try and fight off the 52 of Justin Winters. And then Matt Grenier not too far behind. This top 5, almost the entire top 10 is under a blanket right now. And you talk about the pack racing starting to take shape early here in the goings as Lancaster tries to make a run at it to try and sneak his way down the straightaway to open up a gap. But right now it's not working. Here comes Dobbs to the inside as he might try and take a look here in turns 1 and 2.
Dobbs provides enough pressure to make Lancaster wash out the racetrack a little bit. They're going to be side by side onto the entry of turn 3, and I think Dobbs is also going to have a little bit of help from behind from the 2 of Brandon Robertson as we come onto the front straightaway. Although he might not need it, I think he's going to clear the 28 of Lancaster as he does coming out of turn 4. New leader, I think that's your 3rd one today already, Alan Dobbs.
Lead changes being already quick here as we're only on lap number 6. And number 3 Camaro, now your new race leader, actually starting to create a little bit of a gap to the 2nd place as now Robertson might try and make a move to the inside of the number 28. It's not going to happen as they make their way towards turns 3 and 4 as still this top 5, even though the single file, they're still very close and can pounce at any moment. We're going to see if he's going to try and he's going to go to the outside, but it's not going to work. Dobbs is going to lead lap number 6.
Already really starting to tick off laps very quickly here, and I think just because the action so far has been incredibly exciting. As we continue to see the top 5, very little separation. 5/10 of a second from Alan Dobbs to Matt Grenier right now. So yeah, not a lot of separation, and I think we are already seeing the process of Adam Lancaster already working towards trying to get his lead back. I think he's starting to build up the momentum. He might have a shot coming into turn 1 or perhaps down the back straightaway.
Focusing back outside the top 10 is where you'll find your series points leader, Travis Miller, currently running back in the 11th position under starting 13s. He has about a 4-car pack right behind him as he tries to catch up to 10th place Dylan Butler as he tries to do all he can there. You still see that incredible 4-car fight going on there between the leaders as Alan Dobbs was your stage winner a week ago at Daytona. So second verse, same as the first here in Vegas. He tries to do it once more. Still have a lot of racing to go to get to that point, but again, you're seeing a lot of the racing being done early. As here comes Lancaster with a dive bomb to the bottom entering turn number 1. The 3-car tried to have a wide arc, it didn't work, and now they're going to go side by side down the back straightaway.
Not the best run off the corner for Lancaster, but I think he's going to have a massive advantage as we come through the exit of turn 4. Still side by side as we work off of the exit of 4. Let's continue to ride on board with Dobbs. And at the line, it's going to be an absolute drag race, but Lancaster just gets it by less than a 10th of a second so far. And there's a little bit of information from our producer. Stage 1 is going to be at the conclusion of lap 67 tonight, which is going to be right around the halfway point of the racing action tonight. In fact, it is halfway of 134 laps.
So only 57 laps left to that stage break as now they make their way off of turn number 4. Robertson still fighting off Justin Winters as those guys have been all over each other for the most part since they got back there. They have not been able to separate each other, kind of like how they were last season, just were Travis Miller out of all that. But again, don't look too far behind him, because the only thing separating those two from John Kinder as a 15 and Matt Grenier, very different paint, might I add, from what we're used to seeing, both the 28 and the 21. Usually the 28 would run the Ghostface Brewing Company, and the 21 would run the Rims 1. Now kind of a bit of a half and half kind of what you usually see. Kind of like might say like how some IMSA teams do their sponsorships with their cars, rather than having two separate schemes. They kind of like a half and half of each other's own. So it's still very entertaining to see some of these different variants of paint schemes and how they opt to do it. But still, look at this incredible fight for the lead. All four drivers, these guys just can't break away from each other, which is kind of what this new aero package has tried to do with the real life Cup stars, and it has worked for the most part. But again, you're seeing some of the struggles with the dirty air. You get up there, but then you kind of get into a wall, and that's kind of what a lot of these guys are starting to witness, as they're able to get on the bumper, but they just can't get the run to get the toe to go on the back end of the straightaways and make a move, which is forcing these guys to either run the apron onto corner or just try and back up your corner and get a run on eggs that are just a dive bomb. But again, you're starting to, even though they're not being able to make these passes, it is just an ongoing train here on a mile and a half like Vegas to see these guys this close already, about this far in the race.
A lot of evolution here already. Despite the fact that these guys are relatively tight up front, we're already seeing tire fall off quite a bit actually here in the first 15 laps of racing action. In fact, these guys, most of the guys in the top 5 are off about 1 second from their fastest time of the race so far, just giving a bit of an indication. Oh, and you can see that if you look at our telemetry right now as we ride on board with Robbie Kendall, currently sitting 7th position at the moment. You can see that it is about exactly a second at the moment. Just giving, okay, I'd be repeating a phrase if I said giving indication. But, I mean, the idea is that there's going to be a massive amount of tire fall-off tonight. Probably because of the amount of dirty air, it's going to really be working the tires on this circuit, where tire load as is going to be, quite aggressive, especially for these Goodyear Eagles, just because there's very increased... Oh, sorry. Trying to gather my words. A lot of banking here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It's going to really make it very stressful for these Goodyear Eagles.
Something else is going to make it very stressful for not only the Eagles, but these drivers as well. The 50% fuel limit that they run here in the Bluegrass iRacing Series. Looking on the practice times from when Alan Dobbs ran, it seems what these guys are able to do is run about 40 to 41 laps on fuel. So look at that. They're going to split, most of these drivers might try and split this stage in half maybe, running at 30. As we actually have our first caution on the circuit, we have to see where that is, as is the 88 of Wes Wiggin, who started up in 14th. He finds himself heavy damage to the number 88 machine as he limps it down the back straightaway as we wait for the replay. But man, tough break for the number 88 machine here in the early goings of this race.
So it looks like DeJourcy comes up the racetrack into the 71 machine, and as a result, Wiggin just doesn't have too much time to react, and that is going to result in our first caution of the night. I just want to make one correction to something I said earlier. I accidentally called Mr. Ryan Kendall, currently in the 68 car, Robbie Kendall. But we'll get one more look here at this first incident.
Yeah, so you see very close racing into turn number 1 and just drifts off the racetrack. 71 goes up into the wall. He tried to save it, but the back end steps out, and then just a violent collision to the outside retaining wall for that 88 machine, as Wyatt Brackett as well clipped Wes Wiggin at the end of that. So unfortunate situation for him, but just an absolutely violent hit for the number 88 machine, as now he finds himself sitting on pit road. As now we have our first round of pit stops being performed here, as Alan Dobbs is going to lead the field down pit road.
This isn't as simple as you may initially think, because these guys are operating with only 3 additional sets of tires to work with over the 134 laps. So I expect that we might see some guys come out of here with either 2 tires or no tires. We see a lot of guys with very short stops. Most of the leaders come out of pit road with only about 6 seconds spent in their pit box, such as Alan Dobbs. So I'm going to go ahead and probably call that a fuel-only stop, because I feel like 2 tires takes about 7 or 8 seconds. And then just one more additional update. So Doug Neal, he does start 2nd place tonight, but after that incident, he does have the engine expire on lap 7, and he is done for the day.
So our first retiree of the evening gonna go to number 77. Corey Daniels was supposed to start 35th, but he did not take the start. So as Trey alluded to, he will start the race, but he will be credited with the last place finishing position of drivers on track. Was Wigan the first car ahead of him, as I don't believe they used the fast repairs this season like I believe they did last year, as he's still sitting on pit road. So they don't use the fast repairs. So as realistic as it gets here, minus the 50% fuel limit that they still use here, which is always great to see because it makes it a little bit more interesting. But that is going to spell trouble for that 88 team, who's now essentially going to be on damage control. So he's going to take that damaged Chevrolet Camaro and now just try and finish as high as he can to try and salvage the top 10 points that he currently holds off of Daytona.
The fun thing about this series is that these guys do definitely have to start thinking about the fact that they do have to be consistent if they want to try to get into the playoffs here. It's either that or pick up that elusive race win. So these guys do have about 12 races before the playoffs initially begin. Well, actually, that would have been as of Daytona because there's 12 regular season races. So we're at round 2. After tonight, there will be 10 races for you to either secure yourself via a race win or via a strong points finish to get into the 4-round playoffs.
So as we prepare to go back racing, pace car light still on top of that Ford Mustang. Your current top 5 at the moment. Still Alan Dobbs in first, Lancaster currently running in second, Brandon Robertson in third, Justin Winters in the 52 and fourth, and then John Kinder with the jump on Matt Grenier. He actually finds himself now up into the 5th spot. So a lot of familiar faces besides Alan Dobbs, who was your stage winner from last week at Daytona, as we talked about earlier in the race. Now he's the only of the new drivers that is currently running up there in the top 5 in these early goings of the race. And right now he's starting to show them how it's done here in the 1.5 miles.
Coming to get the one to go here, another person that I definitely think deserves a shout out here so far, Nathan Mower. Started in the 16th position. He climbs 8 spots. He currently sits in the P8 position. So that was only with about 15 laps of green flag racing. So that shows that if you do have the pace, you definitely can make your way through the field here. I'm sure it's difficult. I'm sure it takes a toll on the tires, and he, probably did excel down on pit road, which might have also gained him a couple of spots. But it's been really efficient for that number 81 car so far, or rather the number 97.
Someone else who also deserves a shout out is a 22 Travis Miller. He now finds himself up to the 10th position, jumping a position on pit road. So now he will line up next to Michael Oxzet in the 81 as they make their way down the back straightaway. He's talking about the 1-2 green as you talked about the weather earlier before the race. Right now, we are sitting at an air temperature of 71 degrees with partly cloudy skies, track temp of 74 degrees, and wind blowing from the north at 12 miles an hour. So a very, very cool night here in the Las Vegas, Nevada desert. As these track temps come down, the grip is going to come up, and we should expect to see some more action-packed racing here as the pace car once more going to bring it off of turn number 4 once more. For Alan Dobbs and Adam Lancaster, going to lead them back to the restart zone as we prepare to go green for about 47 more laps of racing. Green flag back in the air, and Alan Dobbs a big jump on the leaders as they race off into turn number 1.
The field makes the charge into turn 1 for the first time. Going to be full throttle, definitely, just because they don't have all of the momentum quite yet. And we yet again see that the inside line has a massive amount of momentum. Alan Dobbs is clear about 0.3 of a second as the second and third place cars go side by side. It's Brandon Robertson v. Adam Lancaster into turn 3.
Lancaster up on the top side. He's going to try and make something work. Robertson kind of wiggles a little bit on the entry of the corner. That's going to hurt his momentum off the corner. He's actually a little loose. I believe he touched the apron off of turn number 4. That's going to give a big momentum shift to the number 28, as now Justin Winters is actually going to follow the number 28. He's going to try and do it. He's not going to go anywhere, as he will still hold on to the 3rd position, but now Lancaster still holding strongly on to that 2nd spot as Justin Winters valiantly trying to take over that 3rd spot.
And it is currently a top 7 breakaway from the rest of the pack right now, with Nathan Mower currently rounding out that top 7. Not a lot of change in position so far between those top 7 since the restart. Currently the battle, side by side, is for the 3rd position between Justin Winters and Brandon Robertson. Winters looks to the inside, and I think he might, there's going to be might have been contact. Regardless, Winters is probably going to be the loser. He loses a lot of momentum, and now he's under pressure from behind. That's John Kinder to the outside of him with a lot of momentum.
The two black and green machines going side by side to turns 3 and 4. The 52 of Winters looking a little bit struggling there on the bottom side. That's going to give the momentum, like we talk about, to John Kinder, as he will take over that 4th position. Now he's going to have to worry about Matt Grenier behind him, as well as Nathan Moore. And then behind those guys is Travis Miller, who on that restart has started to show his muscles again. He started back in 13th, now up to 8th, so he's quickly making his way up through the leaders, but still your current race leader is the number 3 of Alan Dobbs, as Lancaster still all over the back bumper of that silver and blue Chevrolet Camaro. Kind of if you look at it from a distance, it kind of reminds me of the Shelby Ford Mustang that they would run here at Vegas with the throwbacks that Chase Briscoe ran, and kind of kept going throughout most of the season. But even though it's a Camaro, it very much reminds me of the Shelby GT4 Mustangs that the Xfinity Series would run here as a throwback.
Definitely utilizing a similar finish and a similar color scheme there on that machine. The battle has definitely tightened to the lead a little bit, and I think if Lancaster gets a very strong runoff exit, he might have the chance to overtake as we head into the entry of turn 1. It's currently 25 laps in the books already. These guys, though, I do think they will have to think about pit stops before that lap 67 stage break.
Well, because of the fuel stop that they just did, that might get them close to the end. The big question is on the tire strategy that they played along with that. Like I talk about, they can make about 40 laps on there since they pit at 20. That can now get them to about lap 60, depending on where they opted to come in at and save fuel or how much they decided to add. So again, the tires might be a factor in it, but right now they have really closed it up to now where they might be about 7 to 8 laps short on fuel, depending on how much they opted to save there or how much they opted to add. So again, a lot of factors being played into as we're closing in on that halfway stage break, as the top 3 very close to each other, as Robertson is starting to throw his hat back in the ring to try and take over this race lead once more.
Currently no give or take between the top 3 right now, but right now these guys are having to play with dirty and turbulent air. That becomes a factor as you get into the corners here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We head into the entry of turn 1. 28 of Lancaster, he's going to peak low. He's kind of running in the middle of the track, but he might have enough to challenge off the exit of the corner. No, instead he washes up a lot mid-corner, and now he's compromised and has challengers in both Brandon Robertson and John Kinder, who you now ride on board with.
A 3-car fight for the runner-up spot right now, involving 2 of the teammates of Kinder and Lancaster off of turn number 4, almost looking to go 3 wide there. The 28, I might add, a little bit of a, I don't know if it was on purpose and I doubt it, but a little bit of the red-green theme going on there, of luckily just because of the sponsor colors of Ghostface Brewing Company and Rims 1, but it kind of has a little bit of a Christmas vibe to it, so 'tis the season, I guess, but he's going to need some Christmas cheer right now as he is falling far back in the field, now about back to the 4th or 5th position, as he is really trying to rebound from that wash in the turns 1 and 2, as he is really just struggling now. As he going to come right in front of the nose of the 52 and could have made contact there.
We continue to, in this case, backtrack with Lancaster. He currently falls back to the 4th position. Now Justin Winters, he was your series runner-up last season. Had his own, respective struggles at the Daytona International Speedway. I think he was involved in several accidents before he finally had to retire the car. But he's starting to make his presence known here as we're as Kyle Busch would coin the first real racetrack here of the Young Bluegrass iRacing Series season. Going to come through turn 4. It's going to be 30 laps completed this time by. A lot of side-by-side action here in the midfield.
Also look behind them, that 22 yellow and red machine of Travis Miller and the BRP iRacing Series, who just ran a race last night with their sprint car league. If you haven't watched it, go watch that. It was an absolute thriller as usual. 2 nights ago. My bad. I'm getting my days mixed up. I had Monday off work, and I'm still getting mixed up, as now they are 3 wide in turns 3 and 4. Lancaster going to pinch him down there in the middle, as now they are going to go 3 wide down the straightaway. Give the momentum to Miller, as actually no, give it to the top 2 on the top side of Maurer and Lancaster, as they're going to hold on to position here in turn number 1. Wow, that was a really interesting move made by those guys, and opt to hold it the entire front stretch.
I'm about to make a reference to chutes and ladders, but I mean, it's just been very consistently going down chutes for Adam Lancaster since he washed up trying to go for the lead about 5 laps ago. Currently, he drops all the way back to about, I think that if Miller overtakes, it's going to be the 7th position. So it's just been consistently about 1 or 2 positions per lap right now. So it's been a big struggle, and it just shows, you know, when you have low horsepower, how much momentum can be a critical factor.
Well, you talk about a reference to chutes and ladders. I'm going to make my own reference of my own. You talk about pushing it a little bit too hard. Well, as Doc Hudson would once say, now he's ending up in the tulips as he is falling back and fading fast as the tire fall off really starting to show on the number 28 as he is now being looked at by Ryan Kendall for what I believe is going to be the 8th position. So again, just really falling fast, and that tire fall off is really starting to show on the 28. If you want to know how bad it is, just look at this. He's going to get straight up flown by the 68 as now the fight for the lead still heating up as the race is going on to turn number 3 as Kinder and Robertson, 2 of the championship favorites from last season, now going side by side for the runner-up spot as they try to chase down Alan Dobbs.
We come here across the start-finish line for the completion of lap 34, and it's going to continue to be a battle of these 2 veterans of the series, currently trying to see who's going to be the one to challenge the newcomer in Alan Dobbs right now. And I think Kinder, he's been climbing up the leaderboard pretty consistently so far. I think with a couple of good corners here, he could come out of turns 3 and 4 with the 2nd spot secured.
And then there's just Justin Winters sitting there behind having to watch it all. He wants to do something to try and take over that 2nd spot, but he just is unable to because of the fight. He has nowhere to go, and the last thing I think he would want to do is make it 3 wide this early in the race and potentially cause the wreck. Because right now he's in a very good spot, and right now he's looking at an even better spot because now he's going to go wheel to wheel with the number 2 of Robertson in 1 and 2. Sadly, he's not going to have the corner exit, so he's going to fall back in line in the 4th position. But the 52 really starting to show it here in the midpoint of this stage 1 as he is really starting to make a move. Also making moves is Nathan Maurer back there in the 5th position as he tries to close in, but right on his back look to the inside is going to be the 22 of Miller as they come to the line to complete lap 36.
Continue to ride on board with Mower, who has a pretty solid perspective of the top 4, but now he's going to have some pressure of his own. It's going to be Travis Miller. Looked like he was about to pull a bit of a slide job here at Las Vegas, but he decides instead rather to just keep low until he gets to the exit of the corner. Now he has a lot of pressure in behind. That's going to be the 68 of Ryan Kendall, now making his way to the inside of Nathan Mower. Mower is the one who's now starting to fall a bit down the leaderboard here in the mid-pack.
That fight's still going on right there. You see Maurer trying to make a move. Mower trying to make a move back to the high side. Not going to go. Here comes Kendall. Possibly look down to the bottom as they're now the 4-car pack there in the battle for 5th. Still heating up. But again, that battle for 2nd up ahead again heating up as there's a little bit of a fight going on up front with the 3 of Alan Dobbs and the 21 of Kinder. Sadly, it did not work out. Kinder actually got very loose on turn number 4, almost had a bit of an accident of his own, but was able to keep it together. Now he has to fight off the number 2 of Robertson once more as they're almost bump drafting down the front stretch here to the tri-oval into turn number 1 as the fight's still just raging on as he tries to reel back into number 3 to give another shot at it.
Well past halfway here in the first stage, and as I say that, we get our 2nd caution flag of the evening. We'll have to find the source of the incident, and it looks like we have a couple cars involved this time. So going to get a little bit of a break, probably see some tires go on these stock cars, and that should get us to the end of stage 1. It's going to be somewhere around 25 laps or so to get to the end.
Nicholas Nagel, one of the big names involved in that, as you take a look and see Nagel was down on the inside of the number 81 and a big wreck in turn number 1, and a little bit of ARCA braking going on there in turn number 1 as that was some heavy hits, and that is going to end the night for a couple drivers. Might as well just shove the engine through the floorboard with hits like that. My goodness, what an impact. As now you see blocked by the grandstands, but man, that was some wild rides there for the number 81, and that would be Michael Ogzet. He just plow the inside wall. I had a bit of an incident like that with a little bit of a ride like that when I ran the FTF Grand National Series. I actually had almost an exact copy incident with that, so I know exactly how that feels, and it does not feel good. But man, what a rough ride for those 2 who are riding so well, just running quietly up there in the top 10.
We'll ride on board with the Camry of Nicholas Nagel. And I think that car that comes into the incident is the 71 of Michael Brisson. He is the first one to get collected in the contact between these 2. A little bit tough to tell, but I'm probably probably going to have to go with Racing Incident.
That is the 113 of Daniel Worthington, who made the initial contact. Bitch Smith, the second one to arrive to the party. But man, that is just a rough way to go for it. Because Nicholas Noggle he really could not find the luck to go out there and win these races. He had it in the hand of Martinsville, had it taken away from him in a bit of post-race controversy. Now he almost had it at the Bristol All-Star race, almost had that going for him, didn't have it happen. You see the synchronized flipping, and then tried to go for the hole, but nowhere to go. But actually it looks like he might have net-coded his way through that wreck, so Worthington might have been given a bone there. But you see the onboard of the 8 of Mitch Smith behind the 46 of Nick Mills, as we're going to see his onboard through all of that.
Saw a little bit of a bobble, and unfortunately doesn't get on to the brakes early enough for Mitch Smith, and it's a little difficult once you're committed to a certain line in a corner to be able to adjust your car, and that's about all she wrote there for Mitch Smith. He's going to have to come down pit road and see what kind of damage his car took, but right now I believe he's still sitting on the pit road, so it's potentially terminal there for the 8 machine.
And I'm wondering how Daniel Worthington faded out and all of that. And it looks like I was correct on that one, that he didn't really get too much damage from that. So he might have gotten a lucky break and net-coded through that accident, because he has absolutely no visual damage on that car. And it looks like the motor is still in the car. So that number 113, Jack Daniels, usually the Jack Daniels Green Apple car, now just a regular plain white Jack Daniels car, finds himself running back there to 17th position. He might have got a lucky break here through that accident, because now we get ready to go racing once more. And now because of that caution, that should take us to the end of stage number 1, as they won't have to pit anymore thanks to that.
Assuming this time by that we get the 2 to go back green flag racing, should be somewhere in the range of 22 to 23 laps of green flag action if these guys can go clean the rest of the way to the end of stage 1. As we look to timing and scoring to see how long guys were on the pit lane, it seems like most guys probably... Oh, I think we see a lot of diversity, actually. Alan Dobbs does not come down the pit road that time. I don't believe. I'm trying to... Oh, no. Trying to interpret my pit standings here. Alan Dobbs is among several that stays out. And you have to go outside the top 10 until you find someone that actually came down onto the pit road.
So again, a lot of interesting strategy being played out here, is now those top 10 or so are going to have to pit unless they know something that we don't with this 50% fuel limit on how far they can stretch this out. My estimate, based off of what happened to Alan Dobbs looking at his lap times from practice, was that he ran 40 laps, because about lap 40 he had a minute lap, but that could have just been a simple spin out and then going down and taking those tires to get it done. So I'm very interested to see how this pit strategy is going to play out now, because obviously I might be wrong at this point. So you see them double up once more. It's going to once again be Alan Dobbs, John Kinder now taking over P2, Brandon Robertson going to hold on to P3, Justin Winters in the 52, Alan's Body Shop Camaro is going to line up P4, then Matt Grenier going to take over the 5th position. He's really been holding on to that top 5 throughout most of the early goings of this race.
So a lot of consistency up front, but starting to see a couple of names make their way up front for the first time. I believe that's Dylan Butler, who started right outside the top 10, but I don't think he's really made his presence known within the top 10 too much so far tonight. He'll be someone that enters the break for the first time, so it's going to be, re-racking, restacking. Should be a lot of fun. Going to be a 20-lap sprint before we get another break.
Doubling up once more. They're really going to tightly pack it up this time, kind of like we see out of the karting events. Tighten it up, wheel to wheel, bumper to bumper, and try and get a close packed restart to get the best run you can. Pace car with the dive back down the pit road. We're going to go green at lap 44 for about 20 laps of racing. And Alan Dobbs again with an incredible restart, as he's going to clear John Kinder and leave them with the bill as he sends it off into turn number 1 with the race lead once again.
Yet again, the leader's going to pull away about 0.3 of a second as he comes through turns 1 and 2. It's going to be John Kinder who's going to be the one chasing the leader this time. I think we saw, I believe it was Lancaster I saw get into the wall off the exit of turn 2. I'm going to have to see if he has any damage here in the long run. But otherwise, it's going to be a lap or two until things get really exciting up front and these guys start to chase down the leader of Alan Dobbs, I think.
Kindred once again trying like his teammate did on the last restart, run down on number 3 and make the moves to try and get it. Will he have the skills to pay the bills? We're going to have to find out here in the next few laps. Robertson holding on to Justin Winters, trying to hold off him. Behind him, Travis Miller with an incredible move up to the field. He now finds himself up in about the 6th position, now fighting with Adam Lancaster as he's going to get passed off of turn number 4. They're almost going to go 3 wide as they run it down the front straightaway in a 4-car pack of all seasoned veterans. Lancaster, Robertson, Miller, and Winters. So the 2 championship fighters, as we talked about last season, you couldn't separate those 2 no matter what you tried to do. You can wreck one of them and he'll still find a way to go and find him, and now they're starting to separate him, and all it took was Winters running wide in turns 1 and 2. As again, the pack racing that you always see be a part of this aero package is starting to take shape once more, as now Miller up into 3rd with a huge run off on turn number 4.
Excellent couple of laps. Excellent job by Travis Miller. It did not take too long tonight. Well, actually it took about 45 laps. But for the first time tonight, Travis Miller is making his presence known here for the race lead. He's going to need a really... Oh, he might not even need the exit. He's going to be side-by-side with the leaders. And I think that just shows you what fresh tires does. Definitely fresh tires there on the 22 machine to Travis Miller. And we go green to the end of the stage. It might just earn him the stage win tonight.
Huge momentum off of turn number 4 as 0-3. If Dobbs actually gets loose, he's going to have that happen to him in front of Nathan Maurer. That was a very close call for those leaders as they make their way across the start-finish line. Now Maurer taking over a 2nd spot. Here comes Ryan Kendall. Again, the fresh tires you talked about really starting to play a factor because here comes the 96 of Dylan Butler in that mean green Toyota Camry. Now the highest rated Camry in the field. He is now going to take a move. And again, just we talked about Lancaster falling into tulips. Now the number 3 starting to fall into tulips as well as he's starting to get swallowed up by these fresher tire cars. Then again, that might help you here in stage 1, but it's really going to be interesting to see how that'll affect them for the remainder of this race. As now they have only 2 sets of tires, while the number 3 of Alan Dobbs will have that mulligan tires for the later portion of the race. It's
going to create some interesting scenarios for these guys. You have to question if when we get to the end of the stage, if they're going to want to take their 2nd set of tires, and then that only leaves them 1 set of tires to go onto over the next 67 laps. So it could leave them at a disadvantage for a sprint to the end if we get a late race yellow here. So in the least, these guys do have some stage points that they might be able to acquire. And if certain things go their way, they could pick up a lot of points tonight. And I think we're starting to see several guys who took tires make their way up to the front. And Travis Miller is not all alone. Yet again, it is now Nathan Maurer and Ryan Kendall making up the top 3 with a couple other guys in company, such as Dylan Butler and Matt Trineri. And then you have to go back to Alan Dobbs, first car who took no tires, sitting in P6 at the moment.
And then Matt Trineri, one of the guys that we always talked about, that we talked about at the beginning of the race, he didn't take a qualifying lap, so he is sadly, if they're still doing this season, not available for the Hard Charger Award. But still, how about a run for him? Started all the way back at 32nd. He's in 5th right now at this stage race. And with less than 17 laps left in this stage, he is now having himself a shot at potentially taking the stage win after starting almost at the tail of the field, as he now tries to make a move on Dylan Butler as well as Ryan Kendall. So 2 familiar names that we've seen last season, Nathan Maurer and Travis Miller up in the front. But again, the new wave of drivers, the Jackson Storms you might say, start to make their names known as well, as they are fighting them tooth and nail, as the pack racing still being very, very much prevalent here in this portion of the race.
You're going to ride on board here with, I believe it's Mike Trineri there in the 5th position. And I mean, you can see it that these guys are still relatively tight. And unlike Cars 3, these guys are all utilizing the same car body. But just to get back on track here, it's fun to see new names up front here tonight. Waiting to see if anyone else can challenge Travis Miller. He's going to go with the highlight. It's going to be Nathan Maurer, who goes to the inside. And we're going to actually have a battle for the lead here as we go down the back straightaway. Could be Nathan Maurer leading for the first time tonight.
Nathan Maurer now on the inside of Travis Miller. They're going to go side by side. He's not going to have the run like we've seen a lot of the leaders do. When you have the high side on the corner exit, you really have the run off that you can make it happen with. As now Kendall going to try and use the toe from the 2 leaders. He is now still all over the back bumper, as again Miller going to shoot off into turn number 1, and your championship points leader again going to run off with the lead exiting turn number 2 as a 68 of Kendall. Going to try and make a move maybe into turn number 3 to take over that 2nd spot.
Despite the challenge, it is still Travis Miller who remains up front. He's actually going to pull a gap of about 0.2 of a second here as we come off the exit of turn 4. It's going to be about, we're already at less than 15 laps to go here to the end of stage 1 here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And it's still Nathan Maurer. He has Ryan Kendall and Dylan Butler in close company right now. I think the close battle is probably going to be for second here quite shortly.
Miller's still running away with the race lead. You can talk about that second place fight starting to take shape. And you want to talk about something interesting? You want to talk about the tire fall off that we've been talking about. Well, it's also, again, really starting to show, because we talked about at the beginning of the race how when the top 10 were together, and you can see on the bottom of your screen the telemetry of the fresh tires. Again, as we talked about, the fastest lap at 30.135, and you can now, looking back at Nathan Maurer, at 30.025. So again, Maurer with the fastest lap, with the faster lap of the two. As you look back towards Kendall's, you're seeing a little bit more of it, of the lap difference between these two, along with the gap to the leader. So again, a 0.2 of the gap, second gap to the number 22 of Miller's. Now he's going to have to run on the inside into turn 1. But if you want to look at something interesting, look at your timing on scoring there on the left side of your screen. We talked about the top 10 being so close together. Now, you look at it now, the guy from 5th to 6th, from Matt Trineri to Chris LaBourgeois, it is almost 2 seconds. So again, the tire fall off really starting to show as the top 6th through 10th are struggling to try and hold on to these leaders.
So we're currently looking at Nick Mills making the overtake for Joshua Abbey, just to get a little bit more of an indication to how bad the tire fall off has been for some of these guys. So a lot of these guys that took those fresh tires about 15 laps ago, they're experiencing fall off of about 0.8 of a second. But if you look at Alan Dobbs, who's on the same set of tires since he has started the race, his tire fall off is nearly 2 seconds. So more than double the fall off there for the guy who's on the same Goodyear Eagles that he started the race on, just to give a little bit of an indication to some of the struggles guys like Dobbs are having here tonight, at the moment at least.
Miller's still your race leader as now we approach the 7 to go mark here into the first half stage, as Miller, your championship leader and reigning champion, running away with the race lead. And to give you an update on how it is looking with the timing and scoring, Michael Ogzet, now the next driver to opt to leave the session. That now puts him in line with Mitch Smith, Nicholas Nago, Wes Wiggin, and Doug Neal as drivers who have opted to just pack it up and get ready for Richmond next weekend. Sad to see them go, but exciting racing still up here at the front, as it is still anyone's guess of which these top 5 will take over that stage win. Obviously, we're talking about at the top of the broadcast, Miller being the favorite of the top 5, but still he has to hold off these guys. Here comes Kendall with the dive bomb into turn number 3 and 4. He's going to try and make a move of a 4. He might try and get it. Oh, he's actually going to get really tied up in turn number 4 and almost doors him as they make their way down the front straightaway.
Oh, incredible awareness there from the 22 of Miller. He's able to make a bit of an evasive maneuver, and it's going to provide enough room for Kendall to not have to run into the 22 on exit. Looks like he gassed up in the middle of the corner just a little bit too early, most likely. And, I mean, to be fair, the leading car on the outside of Travis Miller does not have to concede the space to the outside that soon. So they're, just very respectful racecraft once those guys realized there was a little bit of an error made in the middle of the corner. Still side by side, though, for the lead. These guys are just not giving up. And what it is doing is giving the guys behind them a lot of opportunity to potentially steal the stage win.
Miller with the run on the top side, he's going to be able to clear him off of turn number 2. Now here comes the 96 of Dylan Butler with the run off of turn number 2. He's going to look to the inside, side by side. He's going to have the run, but can't do anything with it. So they're going to go side by side for second, which is exactly what Miller will as they run off of 4 to complete lap 62 of the first half of the stage. As again, the top 5 very, very close together. As now Butler going to try to cross over down the front straightaway as they make their way into turn number 1. As now we have reached the 5 to go mark here in stage 1, here in the first stage of this race.
So with that defense from Kendall, he might get one more shot to try to challenge to Travis Miller. It's going to be about 4 laps to go this time as we come to the start-finish line, and the battle currently is for the 3rd position. It's Nathan Maurer. On the outside, he's accompanied by Dylan Butler, currently scored as the number 96, but you'll see a number 19 stamped on that car just to clarify what might be a little bit of a confusion. And already we're seeing an excellent runoff exit for Kendall. He may have a run into the entry of turn 1. Oh no, he's backing up the corner, probably looking to try to overtake onto the entry of turn 3.
Again, Miller holding on to the race lead as now Kendall, you talk about going to try and maybe back the corner to try and get a run going into turn number 3. He's not going to be able to do anything there as they get ready to head towards that 3 to go mark here for the stage, as now Miller running away with the race lead. Kendall still in second, Nathan Maurer in third, Dylan Butler in fourth, the Machinary still holding on strongly to that 5th position. Who's next we're going to find? Almost 6 seconds back from them is the 05 of Chris LeBourgeois in number 83. He finds himself in 6th along with Joshua Abbey in 7th, Nick Mills in 8th, Alan Dobbs in 9th, and then rounding out your top 10, fighting it with Daniel Worthington is going to be Ryan Smith at number 91. So still a lot to be had here with the stage. And that is for the last stage point. So that's also a fight to keep your eye on, is the fight between the 113 and 91 of Smith. And here comes Worthington with the move into the inside. So he's going to take over that position. And look who's in front of them. Number 3, Alan Dobbs. Again, we talked about the tire fall off. We're seeing it once again. He has fallen all the way back to the 9th position. So what was at first a run for maybe a stage one, now a run just to get a stage point here tonight.
I hate to take a break from the action back here, but we are side by side for the lead, 2 rows deep right now. And Ryan Kendall currently on the outside line may have the run off of the exit of the corner. He definitely had the momentum off the exit at turn 2. It's going to be an absolute drag race to the line, and we still have 1 lap here until the completion of this first stage.
Coming into turn number 1, the race for the stage win. Entering the corner, and it's still going to go side by side. Kendall with the run off of turn number 2. He's going to hold on to it, and now he has the lead. Will that be enough to hold on to it? Miller looks like he's not going to have the momentum he needs into turn number 3 to take it home. So Kendall with an incredible waiting for the right time to pounce. He's going to exit off of turn number 4. And after starting 13th or 7th, I should say, he is going to win stage number 1. And then the eyes on that all-important final stage point is going to come off of turn number 4. It is going to go to the 113 of Daniel Worthington.
Worthington crosses the line, and that is going to conclude the first stage. Race control issues the yellow flag, and these guys get a little bit of a break, a little bit of a reset. We get to decompress a little bit and look ahead towards the second half of the race. Definitely like what they did with having one stage and it breaking it up into halfway, especially for these 200-mile races. Gives a little bit of a chance of a breather. It also rewards guys who are consistent throughout the afternoon. So yeah, definitely like to see it here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It's a little bit hard to get a gauge of it at a super speedway, despite the fact that it came down to about 1/1000th of a second for the first stage win, where Alan Dobbs claimed that victory. He's actually going to go on to finish 8th, despite it being on tires that were much older than the guys ahead of him. So an excellent job there by the 3.
And again, while he might not have the stage win, what he's going to have as a one-up against that top 5 is that extra set of tires now. So now rather than having 2 that a top 5 took to get that top 5 for the stage, now the number 3 is going to be in an even better position for the actual race win, unless Miller, I would not be surprised if he's able to pull it off, is able to go out there and hold on to this extra to that one set of tires that he is now using to try and go runner for the 3. Is now pit road open once more, and we will see the leaders come down. Actually, the 46 of Nick Mills with the haymaker is going to stay out and take over the race lead.
We'll have to, take a little bit of time to see if the tables have been turned by Nick Mills. Gonna have to look at timing and scoring to see when the last time he pit was. It was about 29 laps ago, so he's going to be on relatively older tires there. He probably pit on what would have been the last caution. Looking from above at these guys currently servicing their vehicles on the pit road, it looks like these guys up front are probably taking 4 tires and filling up on fuel. Travis Miller probably is. Going to have to see who comes out of the pit road first, and it looks like it's going to be that number 68 newcomer to the series. Ryan Kendall going to be the first one off pit road.
And we will talk to him here shortly, but also a very interesting pit strategy pulled up by him. Because I looked at his pit stop, he did not take tires on that stop. So very interesting games being played here. He's going to try and hold on to those tires as long as he can, and hopefully we can get a word with him here shortly as we will bring him into the booth. Now, Ryan Kendall, it is Noah Carmichael up here in the PitStop TV booth. You got us?
I got you, buddy.
Well, you certainly came out of nowhere. You're running up there in the top. You started 7th, ran up there in the top 10, and then after an incredible dogfight to take home that stage. You take home your first stage win of the season. Tell us what it was like running up there with those top 4 for those remaining 5 laps.
Yeah, that was some intense racing that last 5 laps. I was hoping just to take a top 3, but I knew if I could get to the outside of him coming down the front stretch and get him into turn 1, I had a good shot. So it's a weird line here, but if you can get to the outside of somebody, you got a good shot at making the pass.
And we talked about the strategy being played out. You obviously were one of the guys who took tires on the caution prior to this one, and then we see you on this pit stop not taking tires. So what is your game strategy for the remainder of this race to try and make your name in the hat for people who could potentially take home this race win?
Well, from here on out, the game plan is hopefully it goes green, and I'm going to take got 2 fresh sets of tires for both green flag pit stops, and hopefully place out at the end. Need the track position here, and just going to ride out this first segment and stays running as well as I can.
All right, well, before we let you go here to prepare for the second half of this race, do you have anybody at all you want to give a shout out to for how your car is running here tonight?
Yeah, I got to thank Swag, Danger Nation, Swag TV, and the guys at Bluegrass Racing for putting this series on. This is a blast.
All right, sounds great. Well, good luck there in the second half, and hopefully we get to talk to you more at the conclusion of this 200-miler.
I hope so. Have a good race.
All right, that will be our stage winner, Ryan Kendall. He's actually going to take back the race lead as Nick Mills, who we talked about staying out. Looks like he changed his mind after realizing he was the only one to not come down pit road. He opts to, I believe, come back down pit road unless he was possibly taking back a lap. Nope, he did come down pit road that time by. So now he will take over back into the 29th position, I believe. What I was hearing was he stayed out to possibly get a lap lead point. So as they make their way down into turn number 1, they're going to double up. We're going to go green this time for the remaining 100 or so miles of tonight's race.
So it's nice to speak there with Ryan Kendall, who does win your first stage tonight. Interesting to hear he doesn't take tires that time, and he doesn't have that much of a buffer. It's going to be interesting to see how his tires, which are, I believe, about 30 laps old, hold up against Travis Miller, Nathan Maurer, Alan Dobbs, guys that just took tires. And Travis Miller, for that matter, he's sitting in the 4th position. He'll be restarting second row outside line, so there's not a lot of a buffer for the 68. It's going to be interesting to see how those guys on old tire hold up against these guys who are on fresh Goodyear Eagles.
Another driver I'm a little surprised to see up here with a differing pit strategies. The 05 of Joshua Abbey, he's going to line up 3rd on this restart. As again, they make their way off of turn number 4. It is going to be Kendall, Trineri, Abbey, Miller, Worthington, and Maurer, your top 5. As the pace car again going to go high off of turn number 4, dive it to the safety of pit road. Is going to let these V8 beasts roar back to life here under the lights of Las Vegas. He's going to wait a little bit longer than what we're used to seeing, and the restart's going to green. And now we are going to race off of turn number 1. As here comes Miller, going to try and saw through the gap. He might make it 3 wide. No, instead for later, going to go 3 wide for second, entering turn number 1. And Miller looks like he might be the big winner in that move.
Struggle of a restart there for Ryan Kendall, and it's going to absolutely benefit the 22 machine of Travis Miller, who might have a chance to overtake for the lead. We do have a car spinning into the safer barrier thing here in the back of the pack as we continue to look forward. It is Travis Miller clear by a mile. We do get a caution flag from race control. We'll have to see what the incident was caused by, but that was a pretty exhilarating restart, have to say. Interesting to see the inside line struggle for the first time. We look down on pit road, not sure who that is. We'll have to take a look at the replay.
It looks to be the 13 of Brian Terry as we wait to get visual on him. You see him there running towards the back of the field, just trying to mind his piece of keys. Has Nick Mills and Adam Lancaster. Lancaster, I'm surprised to see back there. I wonder how he ended up back there. We'll take a look at that later on in the race. But as he comes off turn number 4, obviously his internet times out a little bit, but from the looks of how his line was looking to come off 4, or turn number 2, I should say, it looks like he might have ran up the track and then just made contact with him, or he might have just got loose, but still sadly because of his internet losing connection there for a bit. We don't get to see what caused that incident, but looks like just from the look of it, just a little bit of contact between, or neck code or something, some contact of sorts made the 13 lose off of turn number 4, and he didn't really get a whole lot more damage than what we've seen a lot of these other drivers get. He has the back end ripped off of it, but other than that, it's just the regular visual damage, so he should be able to keep it going, but not at the same pace that he had it. So again, under caution here at lap 75, Miller, your new race leader. Nathan Maurer going to hold on to second. Third is going to go to Joshua Abbey. Fourth is Dylan Butler. And then fifth is Alan Dobbs, as Ryan Kendall talked about. Oh, he actually came down pit road that time by. I thought he might have, and it looks like, no, he's going to come down to top off on fuel. So I thought he might have come down to say, after that restart, I'm just going to go to tires. No, he's going to top off on fuel and try and play a very different strategy from the rest of these leaders.
In fact, the only drivers I think who do elect to take tires in the pit stop include guys such as Ed Osborne, potentially CJ Mason, but these are also guys that might potentially be looking at making some damage repairs too, because there are some guys with pretty extensive pit stops down on pit road, such as Brian Terry at the moment. Like you said, he was without a deactivated or a rear bumper, so definitely a lot of repairs that need to be made to that car. Definitely going to be a big struggle to get to the end of the race for him tonight, but the longer he stays out, the more chance he has of attrition occurring, and I'm getting word that we're going to get to speak to last year's runner-up Justin Winters and see how he's doing tonight.
Indeed we will. Now joining us in the booth, championship runner-up from season 1 is going to be number 52, Justin Winters. Justin, you got us.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Well, you've been running up there in the top 5 for most of the Porsche. We didn't get to see you too much at the stage end due to the guys who elected to take tires. Take us through how it's been running with the leaders here tonight, trying to battle with this aero package.
It's been fun. These guys race real clean up front, and it's been tight. It's draft up to it, then let off. And the car's loose, so. It's a challenge, to be honest.
Along with that challenge, because of how the pit strategy played out, you now find yourself back there in the mid-pack. How is that handling differing from the top 5, or is it kind of a little bit of the same, just more cars out of your window now?
It's definitely a lot tighter back here. It's a little bit looser up front. Up front, you can kind of hold it wide open. Here in the back, you can't really hold it wide open. You get tight and go into the wall.
And as you prepare to go out here for the final 90 miles of this race, what is your strategy to try and make yourself back up there as one of the drivers that can go out there and win this race through this entire field of cars?
Strategy. Strategy. I want to have the most gas in my tank at the end of the race and don't run out of gas. With the freshest tires, don't forget that.
Oh, very, very important indeed. And before we let you go here to get ready for this restart, who do you have to thank real quick and give a shout out to for this number 52 machine?
I always got to thank Allen's Body Shop and Huffman Designs for painting the car, and Boots Manufacturing and racing with a heavy heart, because one of my friends passed away last week. So let's see what we can do.
Absolutely. We'll go luck there on the restart, and hopefully, as usual, we talk to you some more at the end of this race.
Yes, sir.
All right, that is going to be the number 52. Obviously, now news to us, racing with a little bit of a heavy heart, so our shout-outs to them as he tries to rebound and get himself back up there for the fight with the race lead. Back up at the front, though, is going to be a Chevy and Ford front row, as it's going to be Nathan Maurer in 97. I got to get used to that because they got rid of the whole, try to get rid of the 2-car numbers. He's usually running 971, so that's something I got to get used to for the new season, of him driving a 97 this season as they make their way through turns 3 and 4. Again, it's going to be Maurer, Miller, Abbey, Butler, and Dobbs, your top 5, as they bring it off of turn number 4 once more, as I'm going to hand it over to Trey Shuttlesworth to go give it a shot at calling this restart here tonight.
Thank you, Noah. Glad to have it. And we're going to come here to the completion of lap 77. Still going to require at least one more pit stop for these guys. We get to the restart zone. It's going to be Miller control. He restarts from the outside line, and he's going to be clear, gone into the entry of turn 1. And now the battle is between Dylan Butler and Nathan Maurer. It looks like Butler is going to settle into P2 spot as we head into turn 1 and 2 for the first time. You have to go back to about P5 and 6 to see your first side-by-side battle. It's Joshua Abbey. He's going to be up against Alan Dobbs, starting to make his way back through the field.
The number 05 Chevrolet going to try and hold off the number 3 of Alan Dobbs, who fell off like a rock in the end of the stage due to the older tires. So now he has the freshies. He's going to go make moves. And now he finds himself already back up to the forward position. You can look to the inside. Nathan Maurer potentially take over the third spot as the fight for the race lead starting to heat up. As again, I usually see close to close, bumper to tail racing with the front two as the number 96 on timing and scoring, but the number 19 on track. That Martin Truex Jr. is actually the number 96 of Dylan Butler as he makes the run down the back straightaway, potentially making a move into turn number 3. Not going to do so. He's going to stay in line as here comes Alan Dobbs starting to reel them in as he clears it for third, as he might try and make a 3-car fight for this race lead.
After a bit of a poor restart there for Nathan Maurer, he does settle back into P4, and it looks like he's going to stabilize his momentum with the top 3 cars ahead of him. And in fact, he's going to start to gain that slipstream, and we'll probably see him back into the fight shortly. But Alan Dobbs, who really dominated the early stages of Stage 1, he's starting to make his presence known, and he is challenging the champion. And I have to wonder if what we're seeing right now is going to define the second season of the Bluegrass iRacing series. Perhaps it could be Travis Miller versus Alan Dobbs with a couple other players, of course.
Absolutely, because again, driver back there up in the 4th position that you cannot forget about. John Kinder. He had a very rough start a little bit to the first half of the season in the inaugural season, but really started to turn things around in the second half of the season, minus the incredible performance he had at Atlanta early on in the goings. As now he's just set his fastest lap of the race. So again, we're talking about don't count him out because again, he sets his fastest lap of the race and he is on a tear right now. Look to the inside of that Dylan Butler Toyota. He's going to try and hold the crossover turn before, but looks like it's not going to work. As now move that 21 up to P3 on the scoring pile as they're going to go side by side into turn number 1.
So not a lot of give and take between the top 2. Oh, never mind. As I say that, we are yet again side by side for the lead, and I think it's going to be Alan Dobbs who comes out on top. He's going to need to execute here in turns 3 and 4, but he is going to be clear of the 23 with Travis Miller. He's probably going to look for the crossover off the exit of turn 4. Not quite going to have it. In the lead back to Alan Dobbs. He's going to lead at 82. We're at about 50 laps to go here. Oh no, as I say that, here he comes back to the inside. It's Miller v. Dobbs once more.
Miller now to the inside, going to try and make the runoff of turn number 2. They're still going to hold wheel to wheel. We've always seen the outside being the preferred lane where you want to be to try to get these runs off, and that's exactly what Kinder's going to try and do. As now Kinder has made his way back up there, and he's going to try and take a fight for the race lead. So again, it's Dobbs versus the world right now as he tries to hold off the reigning series champion John Kinder and the 3rd place runner-up my bad. The reigning champion of Travis Miller, and then the 3rd place runner-up of John Kinder, as Dobbs is still trying to show his worth, and he's really starting to show his pace as being a championship contender here in race number 2.
Unfortunately for Miller, he's stuck on the inside line right now. It doesn't seem like he has too much momentum right now, and it looks like Kinder is probably going to get a pretty strong run off the exit of turn 4. Instead, we come to the front straightaway, and it's pretty much a dead heat between the top 3. 21 peaks to the inside as we head on to the entry turn 1, but it's instead going to be Travis Miller looking to the inside of race leader Alan Dobbs. He is going to make Dobbs compromise his line a little bit to defend, and it could set up for a passing opportunity into the entry at turn 3.
The train now starting to form once more as they make their way down to the turn number 3. Dobbs holding on to the race lead. Miller again, nowhere really to go with the momentum that he has. This obviously is starting to shape up into a high line racetrack as now you're starting to see Kinder peaking a little bit on the back bumper as now they are nose to tail to nose, almost to tail again as that 2 machine of Robertson is starting to make his way back up there. So a lot of the guys that we saw running up in the front at the early half of the race now starting to mix it up with the guys that we saw running up at the end of stage 1 as now they make their way into turn number 3. Again, looking at the temperature, air temperature of 71 degrees, so not much has changed. Still partly cloudy with a 74 degree. The wind has actually picked up to 15 miles an hour. So again, coming from the north, I'm not exactly sure where this track sits, but that will affect the handling of these race cars, whether that gives you a push into the entry of 3 or 4 or push you exiting the corners. So that could really shake up the handling of these race cars as they make the run on the onboard of Maurer down the back straightaway heading into 3. There is lap traffic now starting to shape up ahead of one of the damaged cars. We have to see who that is once we get to them.
So we continue to ride on board with Maurer, and we begin to look at some of the variants in onboard cameras we have here at PitStop TV with these NASCAR stock cars. But yeah, it's pretty interesting to see that despite the fact that we've gone from full day to night, haven't seen too much of a dip in terms of air temperature, only about a degree or 2. Track temperature remains stagnant, and the racetrack is definitely taking a lot of rubber, so definitely a lot more grip for these guys, despite the fact that the track really hasn't cooled off too much. And we do see a side-by-side battle for the lead, Dobbs versus Miller. Yet again, it's going to be the story for quite a while, I feel. Lap traffic is ahead. It's going to make things interesting. Are they going to go 3 wide? Will they be single file when they get to him? It's going to be a lot of fun over the next couple of corners.
Miller with the momentum onto the inside line. Can he hold on to it? Or will that outside line once again prevail? It looks like it might happen. Again, Miller actually still holding on. He's one of the only guys that we see really be able to do it. Not there as the exit get cleared, exiting turn number 2, now into turn number 3. So again, single file between the front 2 as Miller trying to do whatever he can. But sadly, unless you're on a restart, it is so hard to make that inside line work. And Dobbs is doing all he can to protect the top side from being used.
We head on to the entry of turn 1, and the top 2 have definitely pulled away quite a bit from the rest of the pack right now. Even, looking back to the 3, 4, 5, 6 positions, go back onto Nathan Maurer. He's made his way past, I believe that's the number 96, Dylan Mottler, move him up to the P5 position, as these guys will now have to look ahead and see if they can get back up to those top 2 right now. I think what they need to do is continue to stay single file. It's worked quite effectively. When the leaders then get side by side, it punches a massive hole in the air, creates a lot of slipstream for these guys down the straightaways.
One of the great things I always love about these camera angles that you see on your screen right now, that rear-facing camera, you start to see what I call war paint. With a little bit of the rubber and the dirt, as though actually we're starting to see a little bit of an X-ray screen going on there. I always call it war paint, especially if you go to any of these 24-hour races like Daytona or Sebring. Over the course of running, you see there, the rubber and the dirt really starts to pick up, and it creates these amazing views on how the air works on these cars. You see it on the accurate DPs, especially the amount of rubber buildup that's put on the side of these cars. Now you're starting to see it amazingly with what iRacing is able to do. Once as the race goes on, you actually start to see the dirt show up on these cars, and it's one of the best parts of iRacing. As the further and further you go into the race, you start to see just how far these cars are being pushed, and you see a little bit of a interesting booty shot of that number 3 Camaro. And you see the undercarriage there as they exit off of turn number 4 with the fight down the front straightaways. Here comes Kinder, possibly trying to make a move once more. Interesting into turn number 1, trying to get the run. He might make a 3 wide entering turn number 1. He does make a 3 wide, but it's not going to go anywhere. Miller going to give him the space, and now he's going to go up into 22. They make contact. They save it. That is going to ruin the momentum for the 3, and now they finally get the 3 out of the way and now move Kinder to the point entering turn number 3.
Ooh, excellent call there, Noah. That was an excellent series of moments there from those top 3. I think it all started with the 21 of John Kinder getting loose onto the entry of turn 1, and he unfortunately washed up the racetrack. Then an excellent job of saving it by both Travis Miller and Alan Dobbs. Dobbs does unfortunately fall back to the 6th position right now. He's going to have to do a lot to regroup. Going to have to climb back through about 5 guys to get back to the race lead. But we continue to follow this battle for the lead, and we are side by side for the race lead, nearly double wide, 2 rows deep. It's going to continue to be Kinder, but Travis Miller and Brendan Robertson in tow quite closely.
Again, a lot of the seasoned vets now making their way back up. It took moving the number 3 out of the way, but now we start to see a lot of the more familiar faces up there in the top 4. Kinder now running away with the race lead. Robertson to the outside. Something interesting I just realized. I don't know how I didn't realize beforehand. Robertson is running a Camaro this season. He usually ran a Toyota last season, all last year. Usually a number 2 pedigree. Now kind of the core, like a little bit of a Dale Earnhardt GM Goodwrench Chevrolet, but not the Intimidator Black. Kind of as a throwback to that car, but also a little bit of a throwback to the Corvette GT car that he ran in 2001 before Daytona. During the Relic 24 was his son, so a really, really cool design being thrown there. A little bit of a design issue with the rear wing, but still, you ignore that and look at the rest of it. It is a really cool callback to the wonderful Corvette GT, which just won the GTLM Championship and the IMSA WeatherTech series this past season at Sebring, which I was lucky enough to be at. A beautiful car, very controversial with the mid-engine, but you can't deny it is a sexy-sounding race car, and it looks absolutely gorgeous on the racetrack, and you can't deny the results. As now you look back there to Adam Lancaster, who is trying to take a move there on Chris LeBourgeois. LeBourgeois really started to turn around. He wasn't really much of a contender for most of the season 1, but now he's running 8th, so something really clicked inside that 83 machine. Now he's actually starting to make his name known as a potential top 10 contender moving up through the ranks.
Very much a Matt Kenseth run in the sense that he's been very quiet for much of the race so far, but he's doing a very good job of making his way up into the top 10 and getting a consistent points finish. And that definitely could be enough to get him into the playoffs here. Already starting to have to look at the playoffs just due to the fact that it's 10 races until it after Las Vegas. And you know who else we see right now on our screens is that number 68 machine of Ryan Kendall. He won the stage, and he did have to restart near the rear of the field after filling up on fuel on that last yellow flag, and he's already progressed his way up into the top 10. So definitely some solid pace in that number 68 car. Probably going to need a couple things to go his way in terms of yellow flags or potentially some, fourth dimensional chest fuel strategy. But I think he's in a really good spot right now.
He is in a very good spot because remember, he did pit under that last caution I believe you might have alluded to. So he had to make his way up all the way back from restarting outside the top 20, now all the way up to 9th on the same tires that he's been running with since the caution that he put it with Miller. So again, even with these older tires, he's showing that he is able to go out there and run with these leaders. Someone else that we can also point out who's running in kind of a little bit of the same strategy is a 52 back there of Justin Winters. We talked to him during the last caution with the quick interview we had with him. His goal for the race, his second half of the race, strategy, and right now it looks to be paying off as he still has those 2 tires to go off of, and his main goal is to blow up and act like he don't know nobody, as well as keeping those tires and fuel to go out there and run with these leaders. As now he looks to make himself up into the 11th position, possibly 10th, exiting turn 4.
Yeah, it looked like Le Bourgeois was down on momentum there onto the entry of turn 3. And actually, as we come to the completion of lap 100, it's only 50 miles left here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We're going to see Dylan Butler come down pit road. Very interesting to see because it's actually about halfway since the start of the stage, or rather the last restart for most of these guys. No. I have to correct myself. It's actually halfway since the end of stage 1. So going to be interesting to see what guys are going to try to pit early, but that does run the risk of, staying, or rather falling a lap down if there's a yellow flag, and seeing which guys will try to stay out and stretch the fuel as long as possible here.
150 miles down, 50 miles to go, and the race is still heating up as the top 3 nose to tail, and all it takes is one mistake and it could cause melee for those front leaders and give it to one of the newcomers. John Kender in first, Brandon Robertson in second, Travis Miller third, Nathan Maurer in fourth. A lot of familiar faces, and Dobbs just minding his business back there in fifth, watching it all unfold as they create the train down the front straightaway. And how about this? No, actually, that is the lap traffic of the 71. I forgot about that. It looked like he was starting to make his way back up there. I was about to say that was a comeback, but nope, it is just a little bit of lap traffic as well. As you see the cars on the apron exiting pit road as they make their way off turn number 2. As Miller really going to slide up almost hits the wall off of turn number 2 there.
Great job of saving his car there by the 22 of Miller. He might have nicked the outside wall in there turn 2, but probably no significant damage. Might have been a lapse in communication for Kinder and Miller, and we do see some damage on the right rear quarter panel. But wow, that was absolutely near disaster for those guys. Fortunate for everyone, no major casualties, and it's going to continue to be Brandon Robertson now who leads, and actually he's going to start to try to make his way past the lap car of John Kinder, who's already pit. Oh no, my apologies. We're watching the replay. That's my bad. Actually, we're going to get the yellow flag. We go back live. We see Miller sitting on pit road. This is going to really change everything. It might put guys like Kinder and Miller a lap down.
Oh no, when disaster strikes, it looks like it's going to be that 89 of Chris LeBourgeois, who I talked about. The 83, I don't know why I said 89, forgive me for that. So the 83 of Chris LeBourgeois, who I talked about having such a good run here today, or tonight I should say, now all kind of tearing away. We're going to see exactly what caused that as we wait for the pit stop replay, if he can get it up. And you see there it is, that 5-finger death punch Chevrolet making his way down turn number 3. I saw him spinning off of turn number 2. I could be wrong. I swear I saw him spinning, but I had to look at it as he makes his way to turns 1 and 2. Now down the back straightaway. Very interesting. I swear I saw him spinning off the straightaway. I'll have to look back and see what might have caused that then. Oh no, it's the 89 of. It is the 89. I just got the names wrong. It is Dennis Orff. My apologies. It's name, similar colors, believe the same manufacturer, and it just got me caught off guard there. So it was not Chris LeBourgeois. He's still having a perfect race as I was hoping he would, but it's Dennis Orff. As it looks like we're not going to have the replay for that, but sadly, disaster strike for the 89 team. He's going to fall all the way back to 26. He's already 2 laps down, as you see him there trying to catch up in the NOS Energy Ford Mustang as he tries to catch up. But still, your leader going to be Brandon Robertson through all that, who's actually currently on pit road, along with Nathan Maurer. And then we're going to see the race off pit road there. And it looks like it's going to be Robertson winning the race. Kendall going to exit out with alongside him, and then he's going to get beaten out by Justin Winters. So we're going to have to see of all the drivers who stayed out during that, who will take the lead. Right now, it looks like Winters is going to be the biggest gainer out of all the people who come in.
So interestingly, due to the, when that caution flag falls, it being in the middle of a green flag pit cycle, it's going to trap quite a few guys lap down. So looking at timing and scoring, everyone behind Wyatt Brackett is currently 1 lap down. Wyatt Brackett being in the 16th position at the moment. But most of these guys from about 16th to about 23rd are ahead of Brandon Robertson and should earn a wave round. So they should get the opportunity to get their lap back. They will have to restart at the tail end of the field. It is Brandon Robertson who is your leader right now. So as we look at timing and scoring, you should see Wyatt Brackett, Matt Trineri, Casey Barlow, Chris LeBourgeois, Bryce Hunter, Joshua Abbey, Gary Jazowski, and Daniel Worthington get that wave round, get back on the lead lap. They might need a little bit of help to get back into the contention here tonight, but we should have about 25 cars here on the lead lap. And we're actually ready to bring in Brandon Robertson into the booth here for a brief interview.
Brandon Robertson, you got a copy with us up here?
I do. How are you?
Well, we're doing just fine, but I think you might be doing quite a bit better. You've been right up there with the leaders all race long. Tell us how it's been running with you here tonight.
It's been a lot of wait till the tires wear out and then make the moves. It's kind of tough to do anything in the beginning, but I'm just trying to save as much fuel as possible because it is possible to make it to the end, I think.
Well, we saw you with a close fight up there with Kinder, Maurer, and Miller. Tell us what it was like fighting with those guys. You used to fighting them last season when you were fighting for the championship. Now, how is it like fighting with them only in race 2, fighting with the lead like that, especially with Alan Dobbs amongst a group of you?
Yeah, Alan's led a lot of laps today. He's a contender for sure. I thought that Kinder got into Miller, and I thought Miller was going to pay him back when I was right behind them both, so I was kind of dancing on eggshells there. So yeah, we'll see what happens. It's going to be a battle in the beginning, and hopefully we can stretch this fuel out.
And then I do have to ask this question. You ran a Toyota Camry last season. This year, you jumped to the Camaro, still the yellow, I might add, with it along. But where did that come from? Where did you decide to make the manufacturer flip from Toyota to Chevrolet for the season?
Yeah, I just wanted to run this paint scheme. I was a Dale Earnhardt fan, and I'm ready to. We got 4 road courses this year on the season, so we're gonna tear up the road courses this year. That's the goal.
All right, and as we get ready to go green, just quickly, who do you have to thank before you go back racing here for how this race is gone?
PitStop TV and the Bluegrass iRacing series.
All right, sounds great. Well, good luck on this restart, and hopefully get to talk to you more here at the end of this race.
All right, man. Thank you.
Thank you. That is going to be our current race leader, the number 2 of Brandon Robertson. He's going to have a plate full of heavy hitters alongside of him. You see that aerial shot of just all of them. Maurer, Winters, Kendall, Lancaster making his way back up there. Along with him, Grenier, Mills up there, Ed Osborne, then Ronnie Shirk Jr. and David Brackett, just to name a few, as they make their way through turns 3 and 4. It's actually at the late green. Something must have happened towards the rear of the field because there is a bit of a gap from the top 10, but we are not going to go green this time by. I have to see maybe why that is.
I think my deduction there is just we don't have everyone quite sorted near the rear end of the field. I don't think there were any on-track incidents that caused that delay in the yellow flag, but race control did have to wave around nearly half of the field here. So probably just, another mile and a half to give guys a chance to get themselves sorted out. Still seeing a lot of shuffling near the rear end of the field. It really only looks like about the first 5 or 6 rows are actually double filed, just giving an indication to how many guys actually had to take a wave around.
Well, because of that wave around, we do see a little bit of an interesting scenario here. I forgot about that just because of how much has happened during the caution. A lot of those drivers there towards the end of the field were still single file, so I think they're being told maybe to keep it on the inside of the line or something. There's a massive amount of cars still trying to figure out where they need to line up, and that's just causing huge headaches, I believe, for Jason Collins up in the race control tower as he tries to watch all over this to make it the cleanest race can be. But sadly, with how iRacing is, it's just not going to happen. You see just a lot of cars stuck a lap down of some very fan favorites who could go out there and win this race. It's going to be very interesting to see how it is. Still currently about the top 20 on the lead lap as we return 24 as we get ready to go racing once again. That nose camera exiting off of turn before, you see cars kind of like the Digger cam. Digger obviously hiding a little bit, not going to make his way out here as is the winner, so he's probably hibernating, I would assume. As now here to come off of turn number 4 once more, making a dive down to pit road. It is going to be Robertson now with the restart. You see him make a little bit of a late restart possibly. Nope, he's going to go right off the bat, just like the way that the number 3 did when he took it. Now he's going to jump off to an early race lead as he's going to let winners fight Maurer there for second.
Smooth as silk, getting back into the swing of things there for race leader Brandon Robertson. Excellent job getting the restart. And like we've seen for most of the night, outside of one restart with the number 68 of Ryan Kendall, he is dead and gone by about 0.3 of a second. And the battle right now is side by side for the 3rd position. Adam Lancaster, he's actually going to clear Nathan Maurer, going to set sights on the P2 spot. It is going to be Justin Winters. We haven't seen him too much tonight. But, he said strategy is what he needed to get back in the race. And it looks like he is going to actually... he stayed out under green flag. He didn't actually have to pit, and I think he's going to really take an advantage as a result of that.
Well, we talk about the strategy, having the most fuel and having the most tires right now. That looks to be the case, and it looks to be working because as we approach, can't believe he's already saying this, approaching 30 to go, and Winters has now showing why he has become one of the drivers to always look at as a championship contender. Don't focus on race 1. Obviously, that is a little bit of a shoot on whether you finish the race or not, but it's always the rest of the season that matters the most with all of these. And you're starting to see it as that strategy has been playing out perfectly enhanced as we're back under caution once more, and that's going to, again, shake up the strategy to see what caused this one.
I started to catch the beginning of that incident. It started back in turns 1 and 2, saw a couple of guys that were starting to make a little bit of contact and a slowing momentum as we got onto the exit of turn 2. We'll have to see what the origin of the incident was. We're actually looking off of the exit of turn 2. Still a little bit difficult to see what happened there, but I'm assuming took out a couple of cars in the process.
You see 3 wide again, Orphan 89. Maybe it looked like he might have gotten involved. They see, big stack up. And that involved one of our championship contenders, Travis Miller. It also involved Dylan Butler. That could have been a very close scenario. My goodness, what an incident to miss. You see, again, just very, very close fighting between the leaders. Kinder into turn number 1. Just slid the racetrack by Butler, and then all carnage breaks loose as a little bit of a tap to the 96 sends him around, and the bumper has been torn off to 22, and that is going to heavily affect the outcome of this race for that 22 of Miller, who has had such a strong race all night long.
It's early in the season, but you do have to start if you're Travis Miller, considering, the point situation. Despite the fact that, he did pick up the win at Daytona International Speedway, I would assume that drivers will get bonus points going into the playoffs if they're able to pick up more race wins. And this is just a race where he was in contention and now isn't going to have an opportunity to potentially pick up some of those bonus points. Going to utilize some slow motion here and see what the origin of the incident was. You do see near 3 wide here between the 96, 21, and 22. And it looks like the 96 is going to come up a little bit into John Kinder. Kinder is going to tag the outside wall. He continues to track up the racetrack, this time collecting Travis Miller. And unfortunately, Dylan Butler, he does disconnect from the session as we begin to break down this incident in slow motion. That is the point of contact where he was sent around. And I think these are the only 3 drivers that actually got involved in the incident, but there might have been 1 or 2 guys who weren't able to get on the brakes and maneuver away from the spinning number 96.
Ed Osborne looks like he might have gotten a bit of that. Became very close to making contact just because trying to check up for the 22 of Miller, but looks like he might have escaped that with the minimalist damage that he could have. You see the onboard with that number 42 entering turn number 1. You can see the wreck happen in front of him. Get on the brakes, but sadly the 22 is on the brakes harder than he is, and gives him a little bit of a shot. But you see a little bit of a bonk. You see there on the right front, a little crinkled up there, as now he is going to possibly take a pit stop for that. As now your new race leader, we talked to him. He said the strategy, what his plan was for the race, and just save strategy, and is working out. As now he takes over the race lead. Lancaster in the 28. We didn't kind of maybe overlooked him a little bit. He now up to second with Robertson in third, Maurer in fourth. A little bit of time in scoring as they try to figure out who gets fifth. Right now it looks to be either Maurer in fourth, Ryan Kendall in fifth, Nick Mills in sixth, Matt Grenier in seventh, CJ Mason in eighth, Ronnie Shirk Jr. in ninth, and then the number 3 of Alan Dobbs in 10th. So again, the top 10, very interesting as they make their way down the back straightaway as you get set to perhaps go 1 green. And while we have this time, let's give a shout out to the sponsors just one more time here tonight as we get ready to go green. Obviously, we want to give a shout out to the series sponsors of the Bluegrass iRacing series, including Rims One Wheels, Tires, Accessories, Ghostface Brewing Company and Beer Lab Ghostface Breweries, and then also Mills Insurance Agency. You can see all these sponsors on the cars here tonight. Mills Insurance Agency on board the back bumper of the 46 and Nick Mills. Ghostface Beer Lab Brewing on the both 28 and the 21, as well as Rims One that are the team sponsor for those two. Really, really great to see them being partners here. And then obviously want to give a shout out quickly to our own sponsors who help us be able to bring you these beautiful shots here tonight. We'll get a run through it. Tucson Sound Art, your picture, your music. You provide the image you want, and we will custom create a beautiful framed, high quality canvas with a built-in Bluetooth speaker. With Sound Art, you get the best of both worlds. Visit TucsonSoundArt.com for additional information. Andrew, if he gets on the mic in the next few minutes, can tell you a little bit more about it because he has a beautiful speaker with them later on here tonight. Next up, we're going to take permanent. And then also make sure you enter PitStop TV for 10% off your next order. Obviously, go check them out. They have a really cool thing going on there. Very interesting thing, unique, that you really can't find anywhere else unless you want to buy a Bluetooth speaker, put it under a framed image. But it's not as cool as having one in your framed image. Next up is Permanent Makeup in Crowd Maine. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care and money and buy at Permanent Makeup in Crowd Maine. The owner, Ashley Bollier, is a certified micropigmentation specialist who provides professional, safe, and personalized services. You can contact Permanent Makeup in Crown Maine at permanentmakeupinmaine.com or call or text them at 207-358-8683. If you're looking for the best solutions for your permanent makeup concerns, give Permanent Makeup in Crown Maine a call today. Also, be sure to go check out their Facebook for their monthly giveaways. As the pace car diving on the pit road, Justin Winter is going to take over the outside line as the restart happens. As here comes Winters now with the jump with the race lead, as now Lancaster going to try and fight off Maurer for the second spot.
Definitely the pace of an auctioneer there from Noah Carmichael. Excellent job. And it's going to be the 52 of Justin Winters who breaks free from the rest of the field for the time being. And currently the battle at the moment appears to be for the second spot, but it's going to be a three-way fight already. Adam Lancaster, Brandon Robertson, and Nathan Maurer. And it's going to be on the outside at Lancaster, inside Robertson at the moment.
Winters now your race leader. Lancaster back there in second. Robertson going to hold on to the third spot as he tries to fight off Maurer. Here comes Kendall in 68 trying to fight off Grenier and the number 3 of Dobbs as they make their way to the start-finish line. Man, I need water after that one. As they make their way back into turn number 1, as now Lancaster make the dive bomb for the race lead, but still this pack fight back there for the 4th around 5th position is really starting to heat up there as they make their way down the back straightaway.
We head on to the entry of turn 3. Adam Lancaster trying to make his presence known, still side by side for the race lead. See some contact in the back, trying to pick up on it. Currently looking at Nick Mills. I think he just made an absolutely massive save looking at his loss of momentum here as we come to the start-finish line. Gonna force a 3-wide situation, nearly 4-wide, including Travis Miller, Nick Mills, John Kinder. But we head into the entry, still 3-wide between these guys. Absolutely great show. And there's some contact. Kinder into the wall. Could be a caution flag. It is going to collect some others.
A big incident involving the number 21, obviously, of Kinder. I'm trying to see who that black and green car is there in the back. It is Wyatt Brackett. So David Brackett. Again, the brackets always getting me a little bit confused here, as that is David Brackett being put into the wall there, trying to avoid the incident. But sadly, with how tightly packed they were, is not going to happen. You see the 46 of Mills, who was just struggling the entire lap, puts Kinder up into the wall, and then Carnage breaks loose. Everyone tries to avoid him.
Very simply, something you're going to see when you're late in a race, and you give drivers a massive opportunity to gain a lot of spots in a very short period of time. But it all starts when Nick Mills, we presume, gets a little bit loose, and here we're nearly 4 wide with some of these guys. And then we, dissipate a little bit here. Actually, backtracking a little bit more. We want to try to find where Nick Mills actually made that initial save, which, eventually ignited this massive incident in turns 1 and 2. He catches the wall into the entry of turns 3 and 4, actually has to utilize the apron a little bit. Incredible save from the 46 machine, and then it creates a really awkward scenario here into turn 1, as we'll see once more. We head into turn 1 and 2, get a little bit of a slow-mo here, and it just looks like the 46, I don't know, it's hard to say. Looks like the 46 might have washed up, but just as I say that, it also looks like the 21 of Kinder might have come down just a little bit as well. And then chaos ensues, collecting a couple of new drivers who I'm going to need a little bit of time to actually... Matt Trineri is the 62 car, but I'm not sure who the spinning car is off the top of my head.
David Brackett in the 38, heavily involved in that incident. The 46 of Nick Mills, one of the people who helped cause that. The White Brackett, so I was right. White Brackett was involved in that incident, just not the car I thought was being put up into the wall, but he did end up getting spun there, along with, you talk about Matt Trineri. You see, yeah, just a very, very unfortunate situation. And so that's what happened. Nick Mills got involved with both the Brackett family, as just not the way he wanted to go. He actually gets minimalist damage out of that because he only made contact with cars, not the wall. But man, that is not what you wanted to see for the 62 machine. He started all the way at the back, crawled his way all the way up to the top of the front of the field, and now with less than almost 10 laps to go, he's going to have to try and redo it all over again, as Mills actually still holds on to the 10th position. So again, a big save out of that one. Sadly, it takes out a lot of front-running contenders, but he is actually going to survive and hold on to a 10th place position at number 46 Chevrolet.
Gives a bit of an indication to the amount of attrition we've seen here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We've had our fair share of caution flags, fair share of incidents, and none of them have been what you might necessarily define as big ones. We've had a lot of incidents involving, maybe like a half dozen cars or 3-4 cars, but we've just been slowly, losing more and more drivers. Currently 23 sitting on the lead lap, looking at timing and scoring. It's just, I'm absolutely excited here for the last 10 laps. And how about these incredible aerial shots here from the boys at Whiplash Media? Excellent job in the production booth tonight by Andrew Cardinelli IV. And we haven't given a lot of love to our boy Corey Rexford, who is providing fantastic photography and updates on the race on our social media platforms. Be sure to check out PitStop TV on both Facebook and Twitter.
Again, as the night fully envelops here on the Las Vegas skies, you get to see more and more of it. Just the beautiful facility that is Las Vegas Motor Speedway. You can see a little bit of the road course insides there, a little bit on the inside interior road course they have going on there. You might be able to see the bull ring outside there of turn number 4, maybe some of the dirt tracks and the road courses they have outside the facilities. Maybe take a little bit more of a look. If you get a chance, you might see the 4-way drag strip if it was scanned. I believe when this track was scanned, they might still only have been a 2-lane. But again, as you see, obviously you can see the pace car lights are still on as they bounce off the grandstands. We're going to get the 1 to green this time by. You see the weather still, I actually say about it dropped. It's now 70.5 degrees Fahrenheit. It's still partly cloudy. Track temp actually dropped, looks like to 72 degrees, and the wind, though, has picked up to about 14 miles an hour from the north. So the temperatures are going down, grips going up, as well as the winds. So again, a lot of push can be given to these drivers depending on where this track is located at in terms of the directions, as now they make their way off of turn number 2 for the 1 to go. And again, Here's a little bit of race info. 7 caution laps for 29 laps, along with the 18 lead change, which is hard to believe with how fast this race has gone.
I think that gives a big indication to how effective this this aero package can be in terms of providing very close and exciting action. And what's compounded with that is the fact that we've had a consistent amount of caution flags. It hasn't been what you might, call potentially a wreck fest, but cautions have been somewhat consistent throughout the night, still providing some pretty long runs, but not enough for guys to really settle in and get into green flag pit strategy too much. In fact, the one time we did get into green flag pit strategy, we had a caution flag, which did shake things up and it made things a lot of fun. It's going to be Brandon Robertson in control of the field as we come to take what could be the last green flag restart.
Going to go green now with 11 laps to go. Robertson going very, very early compared to what we've usually seen. So Robertson can have the jump. Grenier, a name we haven't really talked about, was one of the front contenders. He now finds himself up into second. Maurer going to fall back to third. Kendall takes over fourth. And Chris LeBourgeois back there in fifth, about to go over for fourth. So incredible run by a lot of these drivers we have talked about. They're 4 wide back there in the middle of the field. Involved with that at the 51. And they're going to squeeze at the wall. And that's going to be Ed Osborne. And I believe, I see who it is. And more drivers. Again, more ARCA brakes. The 91 Harnedy inside, retaining wall in the 42. Just going to sit there like, if you're going to hit me, just hit me and get it over with. Now he finally gets it back rolling. Missing the nose. He got his teeth knocked in on that one. And it's just a very violent impact for a lot of these drivers. Everyone's just trying to avoid is find out where to go.
Yeah, I think this one is going to be pretty fun to dissect. And I think you said that was a 91. That is Ryan Smith, who, yep, he's going to make contact with that inside barrier, unfortunately. Going to get an onboard ride look where you might see a television camera in real life there for the 91 of Ryan Smith. He is definitely full board down the back straightaway. Of course, there isn't an incident until he gets to around that Nellis straightaway sign. He's going to have to take evasive action. It's going to be a little bit too late for Ryan Smith. He's going to make contact with that inside. Well, unfortunately, this is a simulator and he doesn't actually hit that concrete barrier.
So we're talking about a lot of the newcomers able to make it. Again, Matt Trineri, one of the guys who were having a really good run, was involved in that last caution, involved in this one as well. Again, minimal damage out of that, so not really much of an issue there for him, but still, just not what you want to be involved in. But man, just a massive incident there. So I'm going 5 wide, involving a driver like Casey Barlow, who actually kept the position, but you see just the 46 of Nick Mills. Looks like he might have gotten away with that one. He came very, very close to just making full-on contact that could have ended this night. Travis Miller as well. There's a lot of big-name contenders along with John Kinder, who was stuck behind there, as that was just not where he wanted to be, and that could have been very, very bad for a lot of drivers.
So I think what this is going to do is provide us basically another exciting restart. And I don't think too much change actually between the first 2 or 3 rows there on that restart. It's still going to be Brandon Robertson leading. Matt Grenier, he's going to be in the second position. And there's going to be Nathan Maurer, Ryan Kendall, Chris LeBourgeois. He had a little bit of a struggle there before that half of a green flag pit cycle. We saw him really off the pace at one point in time, but he's back up into the top 5, currently sitting last car in the top 5 for that matter. Beyond there, we see a lot of guys we haven't talked about too much tonight.
And it looks like we might actually have an opportunity to talk to Chris LeBourgeois up here in a sec, if we can get him dragged in here. Chris LeBourgeois is still coming up here in the booth. You got a copy with us?
What was that?
Chris is now up here in the PitStop TV booth. You got us?
I hear you, buddy.
Well, Chris, you're having pretty much the race of your life here tonight. Really, really strong run up here in the top 5. Just take us through this and how it's felt running up here with these leaders.
Well, I'm happy to see that my luck is coming my way finally. Vegas is won by good track, so I'm right there on top of it.
With this final restart with less than 10 laps to go here, what is your strategy you might want to play out to maybe steal a win here from these top contenders to get your first win here in the Bluegrass iRacing Series?
Well, I got my teammate right behind me, number 9, Bryce. We're hoping we can make a push up.
Well, all right. Well, before we let you go here, sadly we're going to cut it short so that way you can get fully prepared for these final few laps. Who do you have to thank real quick before we let you go back to get doubled up here?
Well, first off, our teammates sticking together, we get us through. And Bluegrass iRacing Series for this opportunity to run with them. Those are good, great guys.
All right. Well, it's really great to finally get the chance to talk to you. Hopefully, we get to talk to you some more at the conclusion of this race. Strap in, good luck, and hopefully give us a great show out there.
I sure hope to see y'all at the end.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to be our 5th place runner, Crystal Visual, on the number 83. Was impacted a little bit by some of the hurricanes last season, so it's really great to see him still kicking with the Bluegrass iRacing series. A native, I believe, of the state of Louisiana or Texas, one of the 2 neighboring states, as they get ready to go down to the start-finish line. Robertson going to go all the way out to the wall, going to collect maybe some marbles, rubber up those tires a little bit, as we're now going to complete lap 127 as we get ready to go green here for the final few races, or laps, I should say.
Hey, all good, Noah. It's been a long one. It's been an exciting one, and we're probably going to get a pretty epic conclusion here to this one tonight. Just again, want to shout out everyone that's working with us here tonight at PitStop TV. Noah Carmichael, he's been leading the commentary. He's been doing an excellent job. You have myself, Andrew Cardinale, he's been doing a great job in the virtual production booth, and then Corey Rexford managing our social media platforms. So, absolutely fun here to work with the team at PitStop TV, and yeah. So let's get going here for this final restart.
Yeah, absolutely. Get ready to go green for what could be the final time tonight. Approaching the what might be, I believe, around 5 to go, around 6 or 7, as you see that beautiful shot of the ground. Look at that beautiful paint there. As we make our way through turns 3 and 4, as the field now getting ready to make it through there. We've got a car on the apron. That's an interesting way to do a restart. I'm not sure about that one. As we get ready to hopefully get a shot of the cars, as there it is, the Ford Mustang pace car. Again, he's been used to doing this for a bit of the night, as more and more grandstands, as now, here we go. Robertson in the lead, Grenier in second. Robertson electing the outside lane this time as they go green, and once again, go out to a race lead, as Grenier going to have to fight off Kendall and Maurer for the P2 position as they make their way into turn number 1.
So that time by, that's going to mean 5 laps remaining, and it's going to be a 5-lap sprint to the finish, barring any caution flags. So right now, Robertson has to try to build a gap as much as possible before the slipstream starts to come into effect, if these guys behind him actually get single file.
Very close contact there between the 9 of Hunter and the 28 of Lancaster. Lancaster getting a little bit impatient there. He's like, if you want to run that lane, I'll make you move up the lane. As now, look at Ronnie Shirk Jr. back there towards the end of the field. He got a little loose, and we do have a caution back towards the rear end of the field. It is Ronnie Shirk Jr., so he did get loose, but sadly, with the black car, blends in with the rest of him, and after an incredible run for him, he is going to now fall to the rear end of the field as he was fighting off Alan Dobbs there. Oh, he actually went up into him, tried saving it, and finally it went around in a hard hit the outside wall. Can he save it? Nope. More ARCA braking being taken place here on the front straightaway, and that's going to involve a lot more of the back markers that are involved in that. And sadly, Ronnie got the worst of it as he just had nowhere to go and all that.
I'm afraid that might be a little bit of terminal engine damage, and I mean, it's not 100% his fault. Definitely a bit of a racing incident, but he could have prevented it just by, looking to the right a little bit and seeing that his competitor, Alan Dobbs, didn't arc all the way out to the outside safer barrier. So conventionally, he would be safe to assume that outside car would go all the way to the safer barrier, but it just didn't happen that time.
On board now with Michael Brisson to 71. A little bit of a throwback paint scheme. I'm not sure who that's to for. It's just a little bit of a fun paint scheme. It's still really, really neat to see. Sadly, not in the instance that we see, but you see him go down there. The 0-1, hard contact with him. He got the worst of it. You see Michael switch, now goes into turn 1. We might believe that might actually be I don't want to say it's the Wood Brothers because it has English Motors on the side, and I don't think they were sponsored by English Motors, so I'm not sure what that is. But it's such a very interesting paint scheme. And I see Dakota Shepard, he started back there at 27, was running the top 20 all night, and then just hard contact with Ronnie Shirk. He goes for right, spinning to the infield. You might want to leave him with the lawn service bills. He gets a good bit of the grass there. Well, if you want to cut for a commercial, come back to that. He could have just said he was pitting under caution, but nope. He just an incredible save to keep him in the inside wall. As now he kept back to the live feed. As now Brandon Robertson once again going to lead us as we get prepared for what could be an overtime finish here for the Bluegrass iRacing Series.
This time by, drivers will come to the completion of lap 133. We were set to go 134 laps to a scheduled finish. So we will see a little bit of overtime action here tonight. I believe the drivers in the Bluegrass iRacing series get the option to go up to 3 green-white checkers. Just to talk a little bit about, set the stage a little bit here for what could be our final restart. Top 5 are on the same set of tires. You go back to Adam Lancaster. Apparently I was pronouncing that wrong earlier, my mistakes. But he's actually on tires that are about 20 laps fresher than the rest of his competitors. Could make things quite interesting here in the restart. There are a couple other guys that are on fresh tires behind him as well. Should be a lot of fun here over the next, it'll end up being about 3 miles here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
And now as they come off of turn number 4 to possibly get the 1 to green, as now it is going to be Brandon Robertson, Matt Grenier, Nathan Maurer. I always forget. I want to say it's Robert Kendall, but I know that's probably wrong. Ryan Kendall, again, one of the newcomers. I'm used to Kendall. I'm used to seeing actually maybe in the IMSA series, so it's interesting seeing that here in the Bluegrass Irish area, but still always great to see. As now we will stay under yellow once more, so we will go into Bluegrass overtime here tonight at Las Vegas, but still it's just going to be Robertson, Grenier, Maurer, Kendall, LeBourgeois, Lancaster, Hunter, Barlow. Winners actually fall back to 9th, and Alan Dobbs in at 10th. We'll round out your top 10 as we get ready for overtime here for the remaining of this race.
So this time by it will be about 1.5 laps to go. Don't have too much to add at this point. I am looking and I'm thinking based off of the data that's being given to us that this is going to be the only option at a green-white checker finish, meaning that if these guys don't make it to the white flag without a caution, the race will be official. But otherwise, these guys do make it to the white flag and we will get 2 complete laps, and the checker flag will be the next one to end the race. So while we do need to kill a little bit of time here before we get back to the restart, we can take a brief look here at the point standings. Do see Travis Miller on top. Right behind him is John Kinder. Alan Dobbs won the stage 1 at Daytona International Speedway, and that's going to put him up in 3rd place, even after finishing about 7th at the end of the night. Wes Wiggin in 4th position. Brandon Robertson in 5th. Ryan Smith just had to park it. He actually disconnects from the server, and he is going to finish quite a ways back on the leaderboard. He was 6th in the point standings after round 1, followed by Ronnie Shirk, who was just in that accident, Daniel Worthington, Nick Mills, and Gary Jazorski. Rounding out your top 10 after 1 round. Still a long ways to go until we get to the playoffs. It's a 12-round regular season and then a 4-round playoff series.
And as they make their way down there into turn number 1, obviously a win can go a long way in the point standings towards the playoffs for Brandon Robertson. Right now, he is in the best position to do so. So once again, coming off of turn number 2, as we get set to go green flag racing once again here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway down I believe it's the Nella straightaway. I always get confused with that name of the track because while it is an amazing facility, I am not very well aware of this with some of the names of the corners for a 4-corner track. As now they make their way through turns 3 and 4. I'm excited to see how this is going to end up, how just well these guys are raced and how well the finishes are. I cannot expect anything less out of these guys if they can do so.
So we will come through turns 3 and 4, and interestingly, we're going to see yet again that Brandon Robinson does line up on the outside, and it's going with a teammate to his inside. So it is going to absolutely be a lot of fun. Noah, let's get going here, get rolling.
Absolutely. So even though it's a teammate with the Chevy 4-drive, it will be a teammate start. And big check up there in the midfield. That is exactly what Robertson wants to see. Is now looking at it to be a 4-car fight, but meanwhile, it is about a 13-car fight for the midway fight there. You see the 51 of Barlow there entering turn number 1, about a 9th. They're going to go through almost 3 wide there. And then here comes Dobbs picking in there, but up at the front, it is still a 4-car breakaway. As here comes Grenier. No, here comes Kendall down to the inside, your stage winner. Possibly trying to sweep it all here in Vegas. As they make their way off of turn number 4, they will see the white flag this time by. Who will take home the checkered flag?
1.5 miles to go here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It is only about 0.2 of a second to the race leader, but right now the top, or rather second and third place, are very tight, and they're going to have to sort it out before one of them gets the opportunity to challenge Brandon Robertson into turns 3 and 4. It is going to get single file. It's going to be Matt Grenier. He's going to be in the second position. He's probably going to try to dive in. No, he's actually going to back up the corner. Probably try to look the edge the two of Robertson coming to the line.
Coming out of turn number 4, he's going to hold on to it. He's going to roll the dice, and he's going to take it all home. Robertson takes it home in Vegas with a 1-2 finish for his teammate Grenier in second. Alan Dobbs takes a fastest lap on the final lap of the race as Kendall takes home third. Maurer in fourth. And how about this? Chris LeBourgeois takes home a top 5 here tonight in the Bluegrass iRacing Series at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. What an incredible finish for all these drivers as Robertson takes home his first win of the season. Now going to boost him up to what could be second in the standings alongside Travis Miller.
Fun night, definitely a lot of calamity. Not necessarily a messy race by any means, but there were a lot of guys that got involved in numerous racing incidents throughout the evening. About 23 guys finished on the lead lap, so it does indicate that a lot of guys stay in the fight and try to survive. And I have to wonder here, is Brandon Robertson taking an additional lap just to let everyone clear the way for a massive celebration?
Still just taking the pace lap, soaking it all in. The war paint very, very much visible on that number 2 Chevrolet Camaro with the GM and the Corvette and all that beautiful stuff on there as he's just staying out onto the track. But sadly, due to COVID, we're going to see the empty grandstands. He's going to go tear up some of the grass in the infield as he's going to enjoy this one quite a bit. He had those fresh Goodyear E-Eagles. See, wearing a flannel shirt. My man wearing flannel in that cockpit. I gotta love it. I don't actually have that kind of shirt. So he's going to burn it down here in Sin City, and he's going to celebrate like it's no tomorrow as now looks like he might do the Alan Kowicki Polish victory lap to celebrate this one as he is going to soak all of this up. Is he wearing Timbs? Are those Timbs I see in that car?
I believe so. Very reminiscent of a Joey Logano burnout there to start it. And then we got about a quarter of a mile of a Polish victory lap, but he's going to instead come down the pit road and come down to the virtual victory lane here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Good luck finding it because I'm honestly not sure off the top of my head where it is located.
It's kind of like it's one of the weirdest victory lanes that they have here, besides maybe lots of ISM or Phoenix Race or whatever you want to call it now. As you see, he's still burning it down the pit lane. He's going to enjoy all of it. And while he celebrates this victory, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll come back here to Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the post-race celebrations. Hopefully with this track map, you can see right there in the middle of the track, you see victory lane. Stay tuned. We'll be right back for the post-race coverage of the Las Vegas 200 here for the Bluegrass iRacing Series.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Welcome back, race fans, to live post-race coverage here on PitStop TV of the Bluegrass iRacing Series Las Vegas 200. Well, we had a thrilling 134-lap race. We have a couple people who want to share their thoughts. Starting off, we're going to welcome in our race winner, Brandon Robertson. We can get him in here up into the booth. Brandon Robertson, you got us?
I do.
Well, you were really strong all night. We talked to you in a bit. We said, hey, maybe we talk to you at the end of the race. Well, we finally got the chance to. You get the win, and now you start off the season with a strong run with the wins for the first of the season. Tell us and take us through this race and how you got this win done here tonight.
Yeah, I am so excited. First off, Matt had a hell of a race. Yeah, that was just awesome, battling him for the win there, fellow teammate, and yeah, when they all pit, I think it was Lancaster and Winters. I had no intentions of pitting there. I think I was gonna run that last tire set no matter what. So I think they were mired back in like 11th, and I figured that I thought that I would have a good shot at it, so I'm glad it worked out. Also, I mean, Ryan Kendall had a heck of a race. I think he got third, so yeah, it was a good run.
Absolutely, and on that last restart, is a big stacker behind you. Did you see anything that behind you, or were you just kind of focused on where Grenier and Kendall ended up on that?
Yeah, I mean, the restart before that, I thought that I kind of went a little bit early, and we were just kind of going a little bit too fast into turn 3 and 4. I just kind of wanted to change it up on the last restart there and kind of push the restart back as far as I could, so we'd be going slower into 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Just because I knew I had older tires, and I didn't know if Lancaster was going to be able to make some wild, miraculous move around the outside of people. So that was the goal.
And then we talked to you on the last time we got to talk to you in the middle of the race. You talked about how much you wanted to win in this Dale Earnhardt Corvette throwback. It's not exactly Daytona, but how much does it mean to finally get a win this early in the season with that paint scheme?
Yeah, I wanted to win Daytona bad. The next goal is obviously the road course. I want a road course win with this car. That's important.
All right. Well, before we let you go here, first off, again, congratulations on your win. But who do you have to congratulate for the race win here tonight?
GM Goodwrench plus Mobile One and Corvette.
All right. That basically sums it up perfectly. I might. Congratulations on the race win. Hopefully, we can see more out of you next week as we head off to Richmond.
Hey guys, thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you. That's going to be our race winner, Brandon Robertson. And for second place, I'm going to hand it over to Trey Shuttlesworth.
Matt Grenier, do you have a copy?
Yeah, I got you. Go ahead.
All right, it's an absolute pleasure to have you in the booth tonight. So, despite the fact that you started near the front of the field, it seemed like you had to overcome some mid-race struggles in order to get back up there. Just talk us through your run here tonight. Get rolling.
Yeah, we did a lot of testing, and I found that I felt like the tires wore off, past 10, 15 laps. I was concerned with how many tire sets we had making it to the end, because if we had a certain situation at the end where I needed tires and other people didn't, I wanted to have a set in case. It didn't quite work out that way for the better. But doing that the way we did it pushed me back towards the middle of the field, kind of through that mid-run through the middle of the race. I knew, though, that, saving that extra set, we'd cycle back up towards the front, and that's exactly what happened.
All right, thank you. This is kind of a two-part question. On that yellow flag that was about 30 laps before the end of the race, is that when you took your last set of tires? And then what was your game plan in terms of pitting in the second stage if we did go all the way to the end of the race?
So the caution before that, I think we were we were on the edge. We had to go our fuel run, and then we were going to pit on 104, I think it was. And I mean, I was going to have to save, and it was going to be close. And if we went green the whole time, I was going to be nervous. The caution, I was getting ready to pit on that 104 caution, and it came out, and I was on fumes. I got lucky to make it back around, got into my stall, and the car was dead. So I really got lucky there, and it worked out. So we got tires, we got fuel, and we had enough caution laps to kind of eliminate the fuel strategy out of it. At the end here, we were saving like crazy, but in the end, we were able to just go because we didn't have to save anymore because of all these cautions. I wasn't planning on taking tires after the 104 caution. With all those caution laps, we didn't get a ton of green flag laps on them, so it didn't kill our tires right away. I felt good when we had that caution towards the end, and I think it was Lancaster and a couple others. I think they went in and pitted for tires. And with these cautions staying out, I felt confident they weren't going to come back and catch us, and it wasn't going to make as big of a difference.
That was a pretty in-depth breakdown. Definitely thank you for that.
I'm stoked. You have no idea right now. Like everything came together, and I am so happy right now.
It definitely should be after a strong run like that with all the can't think of the word off the top of my head. Just all the troubles you faced throughout the evening. But we were talking a lot about the aero package. I was also wondering how that was affecting your strategy out on the racetrack tonight in terms of where you're positioning your car on corner entry, corner exit on straightaways.
Straightaways seem to suck up a little bit. I was really nervous about pushing off of the corners, mainly off of 2. The dirty air really did have an effect. So, trying to keep a little bit of fresh air off the car in front of you was kind of key. A lot of people were running lower. I felt like I was running higher most of my runs. So I was able to kind of keep some fresh air on me, and I kind of got around it, and it didn't affect me as bad as I had anticipated.
All right, thank you, Matt. I think that's about all I have. So otherwise, is there anyone you want to thank out there for your runner-up effort tonight?
Yeah, I just got to thank my teammates. Obviously, Brandon Robertson have a heck of a run there. Congratulations to him. Wyatt and David Brackett, I know they didn't have the as good of finishes, but their efforts are always appreciated. And obviously, just got to thank the parents, the girlfriend, and my buddy Eric and Chris for watching.
All right. Thank you, Matt. So that is Matt Grenier. He's going to finish tonight in the second position here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway in the Bluegrass iRacing Series.
And with that, we're going to bring in now our third place finisher in the number 68, your stage winner, Ryan Kendall. Ryan, you with us?
I'm here, buddy. Gotcha.
Well, you almost had the full sweep, but sadly the house won in the end. But still an incredible P3 finish for you after a momentous night in your second race of the season. Just take us through the entire race and start to finish and how you were able to get up there to finish third in the end.
Yeah, a little frustrated with the third place finish, but I think it was about the best I could hope for here. Ran a clean race the whole race, saved my tires, won that halfway stage break, and really thought I had something for the end with saving my stuff. And those cautions at the end kind of really cost me. I just never really got the chance to show what I had those last 10 laps, but I'm really happy to finish third in my second race with this series and run against a lot of strong guys here.
And then you run that stage break and you came down to the end. And sadly, on that last restart, there's a bit of a stack up, almost including you along with it. How was that coming to the green on that final restart to end up having to fight Grenier for what would be second?
Yeah, it was kind of tough. Everybody's trying to time that restart perfectly to get that the biggest jump they can. Everybody kind of stacks up behind the leader. I got lucky there, didn't get caught up in that big stack up, was able to clear third, and almost got Grenier for second. So, I'll take it. It was a good clean race for me. And I had a lot of fun tonight. My heart was beating real loud the last 10 laps.
As was ours up here in the booth, and with the next race coming up with some really tough short tracks on that list, do we expect to see the same out of you come Richmond and Martinsville, perhaps? Do you have any testing coming up to get ready for those?
It's gonna be tough, man. I'm pretty good at the mile and a half. Short tracks are not my strength, so gonna have to definitely do some testing in the next week or two and get ready for those. There's a lot of good guys in this league, and I gotta come ready for this.
Absolutely. And before we let you go here for the final time here tonight, after an incredible running here for your second outing, who do you have to thank for your P3 finish here at Las Vegas?
Yeah, I gotta thank Billy Smith with Swag Wraps and Graphics. He really helps me out. He does helps me out in the iRacing. Matthew Lee, Sim Power Optimization. He trains me, coaches me. The Swag crew really does a lot to help me get better in these races, so gotta give hats off to those guys and helping me get better.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on the third place finishing position, and hopefully we get to see more out of you here during the rest of the season.
Thank you, guys. Looking forward to watching it.
As will we. That's going to be our third place, Mr. Ryan Kendall. And with that, that'll conclude our post-race interviews. Before we send it off here, let's go through your finishing results here for the Las Vegas 200. Finishing out in first, your winning driver from this New England, it is Brandon Robertson. Finishing behind him, less than a tenth behind, is his teammate, number 15 of Matt Grenier. Third place is we're going to find Ryan Kendall. Fourth going to be Nathan Maurer. We'll talk about after the finish. Chris LeBourgeois with his best finish of, I believe, his Bluegrass iRacing career in fifth. Adam Lancaster finishing 6th. Justin Winters with a strong finish in 7th. Alan Dobbs came so close to having a shot at it, but wasn't there. He finishes 8th. Casey Barlow in that Days of Thunder half and half scheme, he finished it off in 9th, and then finishing 10th at number 55 will be C.J. Mason.
So we then look beyond the top 10. First car to finish outside of the top 10 is Daniel Worthington. He started 22nd tonight, and he's going to be very consistent and come back home in the 11th position tonight. He's going to be followed by Joshua Abbey and last year's champion Travis Miller, who struggled after an incident near the middle stages of the second half of the race. So he'll finish 13th, followed by Wyatt Brackett, who was also involved in I believe, the same incident, as a matter of fact. Bryce Hunter will finish in the 15th position, followed by Matt Chineri, who stays consistent and comes home in 16th. John Kinder, after strong runs near the front, he will come home in the 17th position. Dennis Orth in 18th, and David Brackett will be the second of the brackets. He finishes 19th tonight. Gary Jazorski rounds out the top 20.
Interesting enough, Travis Miller actually finishes and starts 13th, so he actually finished neutral on that end. Finishing outside the top 20 in the 74, Michael Brisson, who had a couple hard incidents. Flying it behind him is going to be the 42 Ed Osborne, who we saw had a hard hit, along with the 01 of Dakota Shepard. Behind him is going to be the 37 Alex Brown, finishing back in the 25th position, one lap down. Is going to be Ronnie Shirk Jr., who had a very, very tough end to his race. Finishing back in 26th, 10 laps down, is where you're going to find Nick Mills. Back in 27th is where you're going to find the 91 of Ryan Smith. Back there in the 28th position is going to be the 96 of Dylan Butler. Finishing 29th is going to be the 13 of Brian Terry. And then finishing back in P30, 52 laps down, you're going to find Wes Wiegand.
Still have a couple more guys to talk about here. Mitch Smith and Michael Oxett. They're going to finish 31st and 32nd, respectively, both 97 laps down tonight. Nicholas Noggle was involved in the same incident with those gentlemen as well, I believe. He'll finish 33rd, 98 laps down. Doug Neal, after starting tonight in the second position, he gets loose off of turn 2 at one point very early in the running, and then his engine expires when he tries to come back out. He'll finish 34th. And then rounding out the field is Corby Daniels, who actually does not take a lap tonight.
And with that, we're going to jump straight into thanking our series sponsors. First up is the Beer Lab Ghost Face Brewing Company. Alongside with them, Rims One, Wheels, Tires, Accessories, and then also Mills Insurance Agency. Always great to see these partners stepping up, especially in big ways with the Bluegrass iRacing series. But also, we got to thank some of our own guys. Like we talked, I kind of sped through there on the final restarts. First up, we're gonna have Tucson Sound Art. Your picture, your music. You provide the image you want, and we will custom create a beautiful framed, high-quality canvas with a built-in Bluetooth speaker. With Sound Art, you get the best of both worlds. Visit TucsonSoundArt.com for additional information, and be sure, if you do in fact want to get yourself a Bluetooth speaker inside of a framed image of your choosing, be sure to put in the code PitStop TV for 10% off your order. Next up, we want to thank Permanent Makeup in Cryo in Maine. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care money can buy. At Permanent Makeup in Cryo in Maine, the owner, Asher Bollier, is a certified micropigmentation specialist who provides professional, safe, and personalized services. You can contact Permanent Makeup in Cryo in Maine at permanentmakeupinmaine.com or call or text them at 207-358-8683. If you're looking for the best solutions for your permanent makeup concerns, give Permanent Makeup in Cryo in Maine a call today to book a consultation. If you visit their Facebook page, Permanent Makeup in Cryo in Maine, you can enter one of their monthly giveaways. Enter today, and who knows, you just might win. And then lastly, we want to give a shout out to our parent organization, Whiplash Media. Whiplash Media specializes in various sim racing resources, including paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing camera packs, and more. Whiplash Media is also working on its presence in real racing, offering services such as photography, social media management, and public relations. Go to www.whiplash-media.com for more. And with that, that'll wrap up our post-race show here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Trey, it was an exciting 134 laps, and it came down to Brandon Robertson. What closing thoughts do you have to wrap out an incredible night of racing?
Very simply, it was a fun one tonight. The package produced a lot of tight action near the front of the pack. The leader was never completely in control, and that was a lot of fun tonight. I think the thing that we really need to look forward to now at this point is that we're going to go to a track that is a polar opposite to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We'll be hitting up Martinsville Speedway for 250 laps, quite probably with about 30 cars. It is sure to be absolutely chaotic. It might be fun. It might be pure chaos. We'll just have to wait and see. And I think that's what is fun about motorsport, is the unpredictability factor.
Absolutely. I couldn't say it any better myself. Hopefully we get to see you out there, but until then, that'll conclude our coverage tonight of the Bluegrass iRacing series. We at PitStop TV thank you for tuning in and joining us for tonight's action. We hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Be sure to join us again Monday for the BRP iRacing series as they head to the famed Knoxville Speedway in Iowa. Make sure to follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/PitStopTV or follow us on Twitter at PitStopTV_, and be sure to watch us on Twitch at twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV and on YouTube by just simply searching PitStop TV. For all of PitStop TV, Trey Shuttlesworth with me on the mic, Andrew Cardinale IV in the production booth, Corey Rexford running the social medias, and I'm Noah Carmichael. Thank you, and we will see you next time.